Just when I thought I was out, they drug me back in.
Featuring J.W. Madden.
Don't tell me about flip-flops, man. I'm a native.
David Amata.
Hey, that's Dragon Ball to you.
And Cricket getting you home with traffic and weather.
Camp on Melt Lemon, not in the left lane on the freeway.
Here we go! And now, a man who has not one, but 3 first names. David Scott Kelly.
And a great Monday afternoon to you. Welcome to October. One of my favorite months of the year. And not just because my birthday is in October. In fact, my birthday is on Thursday if you want to get me a gift. 575 Roger Road, Tucson, 85705, I think is the zip code.
It's a lot closer than what I would have guessed.
Yes. There you go. I'll take money. I'll take wine. You want to buy me some beer? I'll take that.
You don't want to ask the general Tucson civilized population to give you, like, arts and crafts projects to send you?
Well, I mean, if you got a good one, I'll take a good one. I don't know if my wife will let me put it up, but I like a nice piece I'm not, like, into art, but I don't mind a nice piece of art.
You're much braver than I am.
Yeah. I would absolutely take some southwestern artsy type painting or something of that nature. So
I feel like every yard could use some kind of sheet metal welding whirligig kind of dealio.
J-Dub, the people can't see you.
Yeah, that's because last person who was in here had the mic covered.
There we go. There he is. There is J.W.
Nobody needs
Madden.
to see this.
No.
It's fine.
There's J.W. Madden. Oh, now you look like the guy at the doctor's office who's putting filters on things and stuff like that.
No, just the cover.
2. 1, 2. Two's better, Dr. Murphy. I think that's my eye doctor's name. All right, it is Monday. The Wildcat football team is coming off a loss to the Washington Huskies. 31 to 24 was the final Saturday at the stadium. We want to hear your thoughts. If you have any new thoughts, didn't share your thoughts with us on the postgame Saturday about that. 520-848-1290 is our phone number. You can call us at that number. You can text us at that number. And you can also reach us on our Facebook page, which is at Wildcats Radio 1290. Our Twitter account is at Wildcats 1290. You can interact with the show on all of those platforms. We are streaming live on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, and Twitter. So if you want to watch the show and see our pretty mugs on your screen, you can do that too. I'm sure you would just prefer to listen and not have to look at us. But whatever floats your boat, you can do both because that's how we try to give it here to you. Big show and planned in store for you today. We got a lot to get to on this show. Yogi Roth is going to join us once again. We always do the announcers from the game that involved the Arizona Wildcats. And for the second straight week, the crew was Ted Robinson and Yogi Roth. So Yogi Roth will join us in this hour. We're going to talk some high school football with Chris Kidney from Southern Arizona Football. He is going to join us. Interesting week 7. Friday night. How about Marana going down to Buena and beating the Colts 55-0? I did not see that one coming at all. So we'll talk to Chris Kidney, get his thoughts on things. Sabino wins the big matchup with Push Ridge Christian 40-27, and Tanca Verde now 5-1 under Jeff Bolnow, after they shut out Tombstone 31-0. And speaking of football, tonight, the first ever flag football game in Southern Arizona involving 2 Tucson teams. You remember this game had to be rescheduled between Marana and Mountain View. They're going to play this game tonight. It starts at 5 o'clock over at Mountain View High School. So if you want to get over and see that, the first ever high school girls flag football game involving 2 teams from Southern Arizona. I'm going to try to cruise over there and catch the end of that after our show tonight. But yes, 5 o'clock over at Mountain View High School. Marana and Mountain View will take on each other in flag football. That's exciting. Your Diamondbacks are in the postseason for the first time since 2017. And what a pool party it was at Chase Field on Saturday night. Remember when the Dodgers clinched and went to the pool and everybody got all bent about that? What was that, like maybe 2016? It might have been, or actually I think it was the last, maybe 2018, I think they did that. That was not a good look. But this time the right kids were jumping in the pool. I think Joe Mantiply, from one piece of video I saw, did a full-on, what do they call that? Bottom, what do they call that when you jump belly first? Belly flop.
Belly
Yeah,
flop.
belly flop. Thank you. You know me, I don't swim, so I don't know. I don't know the swimming terminology. I would drown in a heartbeat. But yes, Joe Mantiply did a full-on belly flop into the pool at Chase Field. Have you ever been into the pool there?
No.
Either one of you? Has either one of you been in the pool
No,
at Chase Field?
never.
I have not.
I've been in a situation where if I ever see a pool at a stadium, I normally just try to avoid it as much as possible.
How many stadiums have you seen a pool?
There's the Jaguars. They have a pool over
Yes,
the Jaguars
they
stadium
do.
as well. I feel like they kind of took that from the Diamondbacks, because I feel the Diamondbacks were the first one to have a pool in the stadium. But no,
Doesn't Tampa Bay have one too for football? Don't the Buccaneers have something that involves water at their stadium?
Well, I know they have the big cannons off the side of the ship that they have for
Right.
fireworks, but I don't know if they have a pool. But anytime I see a pool at a stadium of any kind, I just imagine myself, there's no way that there's a lot of upkeep. They probably do it the day before, but they don't get the full clean that they need to get that pool ready to swim in.
Well, it can't be any worse than a Vegas pool. Have you ever been in a Vegas pool?
No.
Well, I should rephrase that. A Vegas pool party pool, but like some of the pools where it's just like regular people at the regular, nothing crazy, but some of those pool party pools. Oh my God! I walked by the pool. I stayed at the Cosmopolitan. I don't know if you ever stayed at the Cosmopolitan in Las Vegas, but it is the only hotel that has balconies there. And I stayed there once and went to Marquee, which is one of the popular nightclubs in Las Vegas. They were having a pool party there that day. It was like a Saturday afternoon. Man, I would not have put my foot in that water. It was so disgusting with all those people. And I can only imagine the E. coli level in one of those pools. But yeah, no. But I would think because not a lot of people use the pool at Chase Field in terms I would think that that's probably safer. I would swim there before I'd swim in some pools in Las Vegas.
I always thought it was group rates, because remember when they originally
groups,
opened
yeah.
it? Yeah, so it was more. I always thought of it more like corporate box type of thing, where it's a bunch of people who are all in the same group, more or less, that are part of it.
Yeah.
So if you just had a random anybody in the arena who has access to that area in the outfield,
Yeah.
it could go
No.
in the pool, then you have
Exactly.
troubles. But
Right.
Hopefully people, whoever gets the pass to go in from the
It's like
corporate
people
side
you
of
know.
things.
Yeah, it's all your friends and people you know. So yeah, I would try that. I would definitely try that. So the Diamondbacks are going to Milwaukee for the playoffs, the National League playoffs. They'll take on the Milwaukee Brewers, and that series will start tomorrow at 4 o'clock. We'll get more into that as we go forward on the show today. So just a lot of exciting things. Our Miller Lite Pigskin Challenge. I lost again for the third straight week. That means somebody is taking home a $25 gift card from Miller Lite. Nothing wrong with that whatsoever. And we will hear from Dragon Ball on what happened in the NFL.
Couple of actually surprising games. I mean, there was a couple comebacks that happened this week that
Okay.
a lot of folks were expecting, to say the least.
That Redskins-Eagles game was something to watch for sure.
Yes.
Again, it's the NFL. You never know what you're going to get. I think a lot of things, I don't think too many people expected the Tennessee, the Texans to put a whooping on your boys
No.
this weekend. That was somewhat unexpected.
And right now, I know that there's a lot of Cardinal fans that are thinking, man, good thing we traded for Josh Dobbs, not DTR.
Right? Exactly.
And who would have thought Zach Wilson outplayed Patrick Mahomes?
Yeah.
But still lost.
Still lost, and the Swifties were in the house. And you know what I thought the funniest thing I saw this weekend in terms of this whole Travis Kelce Taylor Swift were there were people wearing Kelce jerseys, spelled it Kelsey, like the girl's name
yeah.
Kelsey versus Kelce.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
You know those people know nothing about professional football.
No, but they're watching it now.
Yeah, well, they said the ticket prices for that particular game, once they found out Taylor Swift was going to be there, shot up over 100%, 100 or 200%. The ticket prices went up just because she's going to be there. It's not like you're going to see her in a concert, but maybe you think you're going to see her in her box up in the suite, I should say. She was with a lot of star power. Hugh Jackman was there. Robin Lively, and I tweeted out last night. I don't know if you know who Robin Lively is. You probably don't know. Blake. I'm sorry,
Lively.
Blake Lively.
Yeah.
Blake Lively. I got Robin Lively on the brain because
No, it's okay.
that was my generation. Her sister, her older sister, who was also there, she was if you remember, if you saw any of the videos, she was the redhead standing next to Blake Lively. That's her older sister, Robin. That's the girl that I grew up with, Robin Lively. She was an actress too, and appeared in a number of B movies and television shows back in the 1980s and the 1990s. But I sent out a tweet. I said, if we're being serious, Blake Lively I would take her over Taylor Swift every day of the week and twice on Sundays.
The only reason I know who Blake Lively is because her husband is Ryan Reynolds.
Ryan Reynolds. Now, was he the one in what was that movie? He wasn't. Is he the one from The Notebook?
That was Ryan
Reynolds?
Gosling.
No.
They're
That's
both
Ryan
Ryans,
Gosling.
and they're both Canadian, so easy mistake.
But
yeah,
Ryan Reynolds is Deadpool.
Deadpool. Okay. I know they have a weird, funny kind of where they real funny relationship that they have, marriage that they have, where they kind of joke about each other on Instagram or whatever not. Cricket joins us. She is the fourth member of our program. Cricket.
Greetings.
Oh, see, your name is not there because we had changes. But that's okay. People know who you are, so they don't necessarily need to see your name, per se, on the screen. But we know who you are. What's the best thing you did this past weekend, Cricket?
I went to Nightfall on Friday.
Oh, Nightfall. Okay, so, I have never been... Wait, that's not the one in the warehouse. No,
Correct.
that's Slaughterhouse.
Yes, that's Slaughterhouse.
Okay, so Nightfall is the one that's at Old Tucson Studios.
Yes.
Okay, so how was that? Tell
It
me.
was really good this year.
Yeah?
Yeah, it was one of the best Nightfalls I've ever been to.
Now, what made it so great?
Different new attractions and shows and haunts, I think they call them, and also, I don't mean to be braggy, but they were very nice to me and they hooked me up with VIP treatment, or they call it the RIP treatment. And
Wait,
so we
rest
yeah.
in peace treatment?
Yeah, instead of
That's
VIP.
awesome.
Yeah.
I like that.
So you got a little bit better parking, and you had this room where you could go get free sodas and water and appetizers. And I was like, what?
Wow.
Just short of rolling out the red carpet for their RIPs.
How did you? So I don't think I should go to the well 2 weeks in a row and ask you to hook me up with that, no, right? Because you already got me hooked up with tickets for Yachtly Crew coming up this Sunday. This Sunday, by the way, at Ave Amphitheater, Yachtly Crew and Ambrosia. So
That'll be cool.
If you see me there, don't tell anybody that I'm doing anything wrong. But okay, so is it scary? I mean, do you go there to be scared, or do you just kind of go there to see the different elaborate Halloween style whatever things they have going on there?
I guess I do kind of get scared. I just like to yell really loud for and everyone else is screaming too, you know. But there was a seance kind of thing that was really fun, and
okay.
They do have a section for kids where it's not so scary, but there are some areas that are kind of creepy.
Have you ever been hypnotized?
No.
Would you ever want to do that?
I don't know. Have you done that?
I've not done the hypnosis. No, but I like that whole seance thing. I tried to play the Ouija board when I was a kid. Did you ever play Ouija board?
Yes.
Did it ever really work for you, or no?
I don't know.
Were you moving it with your own hands?
Well, maybe you don't really realize that you're doing it, but you're oh, it's moving. I don't know. I didn't do it on purpose, but I probably, in a way, did.
Dragon Ball, do you know what Ouija board is?
I do, and I don't mess with it.
Oh.
I have no patience. Nope. Do not mess around with Ouija board. Do not mess around with spirits. I don't like ghosts. I don't like horror movies. I stay far away from them. And I'm dating a woman that is very much involved in the Halloween, so naturally I am in the month of my greatest danger.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
So you're not going to Slaughterhouse this year?
I would rather not.
Or Nightfall.
Although I did actually at one point have a chance to work as a member of Slaughterhouse back when I was at Marana High as a theater kid.
Cool.
They had us do internships over at Slaughterhouse. In fact, I think one of my classmates is still maybe potentially the owner still.
Oh, that's cool.
Of the family, like it's a family-run event, obviously. But yeah, I went to school with the daughter of the person who at one point ran it. So
That's cool.
I wonder how she's doing, but I will wish her the best for her business if she is in fact running it from a distance.
Yeah,
I will not be going in to see how it's going.
So do you? Well, we'll get into this next time. We could go on and on Halloween. We got 29 more days to do that. All right, getting you home every 20 minutes on the fives with your traffic and your weather. Here's Cricket.
From the O'Reilly Chevrolet Traffic Center, it's Wildcats Radio 1290 Traffic and Weather together with reported collisions, Valencia and Nogales Highway in Valencia, Grant and Silver Bell and Grant Road is clearing, and a closure for road work. Prince Road east of Tucson Boulevard closed, Prince east of Tucson, and you could use Fort Lowell instead. 56 are low with clear skies and about 85 for
What?
tomorrow. Exactly. Oh my-
56?
What happened? What is
Holy
happening here?
mackerel.
Yes. And it's only 80. It's 87 now. It's
Wow.
like nice and cool outside. And I'm Cricket with your Wildcats Radio 1290 traffic and weather together.
This report.
from the performance that Arizona had on Saturday night?
Well, thanks for having me. I love talking about this sport and this team and the development of this team. And I think that's the biggest one that you take away is when Jed Fish got to Arizona, he talked about what the blueprint would be and what the plan would be and how he always wanted to be, I think his quote was, a tough out. And from having called last year's family weekend game against Oregon, they drive down the field. Remember that Jacob Cowling fumbles on the end around, and then it's just a rout from that point on. I wondered if they didn't start fast in this game, which of course they didn't, down 14-0 with your backup quarterback, Michael Wiley not going, all the things that we know, I'm sure you've talked about since the game. You wondered. And I sat up in the booth with my partner Ted and said, okay, we're going to find out. And what Jed Fish told us about his team the day before, and I said, what do you know for sure? And he goes, I know we're a resilient group. That's what I know, because he saw it on the road at Mississippi State, and he just felt it because he's with them all the time. And that's what we saw. And we saw a team that is still trying to turn the corner, which I think is the hardest part once you start to rebuild and trying to get a win at home like that when everybody's there and all those expectations. But I think there's a lot of positives. I really do, for how they came back, how those guys competed, how they played defensively. It was a really good football game against a team that I think is a top 4 team in America, for whatever that's worth. And Arizona was not blown off the field by any stretch of the imagination. That's why I think this week, I heard in the update, it's a massive line. I don't see that when I look at the game against the Trojans on Saturday.
Yeah, I didn't see the line. I didn't see that line this past week either. I thought that was a little bit high just based on the way Arizona had played this season. But you never know. I think for us, we just, for the folks here, we weren't sure what this defense was. We knew they had played well through the first 4 games, but how they were going to react to playing a really, really good offense. And I thought that they held themselves well. You know you're going to give up some drives. You just don't want to give up too many big plays. They kind of went with that, hey, we're gonna put 7 defensive backs on the field at one time, the famed dollar package, and let them throw underneath and try to make them march down and see if they are gonna make a mistake. And to Michael Penix's credit, the guy doesn't make a lot of mistakes any other week, and he didn't make a lot of mistakes in that game.
Yeah, I talked to some coaches after the game in college football, and they said Michael Penix made himself even more money on Saturday night because he did what. I think somebody said that it was the Bills quarterback. He said it over the weekend of like, hey, I just got to play boring. And I think that is like a true rule at that position. Like, can you just take the checkdowns? And we drew it a bunch in the broadcast of him getting all the way to his progression or checking it down to his back. And the location of the majority of those balls outside of one where his back had to lay out for it, they were on that front number and they were catching it and running. So, yeah, he was awesome. I actually think, and I don't know this to be true, but I would bet watching that game back, Johnny Nansen and company said, whoa, we did learn a lot about this group, because in the second half, if you notice the changes, they played more physical at the line of scrimmage with the wideouts. They tried to play more press man coverage, bring a little bit of blitz, and they were able to disrupt it a little bit. So I'd imagine you walk into that game and you say, nothing over our head, no shots, no explosive for the most explosive team in the country. They did that. There was one explosive in each half that was allowed, a 20-yard or more play by this Arizona defense. And in the second half, I'd imagine they said, hey, you know what, our 6'4" corners, we can run with this receiving core, albeit without Jalen McMillan. But they did a nice job, and I think that's a confidence that I think will carry in to Saturday night at the Coliseum.
Yogi Roth joining us, Pac-12 Network analyst, talking about the Wildcats' loss to the Washington Huskies. You mentioned, obviously, the big 6'4" cornerbacks, and I noticed that you had said that a couple times. They need to maybe play a little bit more press man coverage. What could they have done better? Because they did lose the running backs on some plays in the first half. How do you see that, and what maybe they could have done a little bit better there to try to be more aware of those running backs in the flats and some of the misdirection that got those guys open?
Well, I think two separate answers for whatever it's worth. I think on the running back thing, on the little flare routes, when they got the ball to the flats, part of that is like your linebacker one or your DB at times playing in that package you referenced earlier. They're dropping to coverage, and all week long they're thinking, don't let them throw it over our head, force them to check it down. So I I didn't think that was like, oh my God, what a poor defensive call. Those guys maybe play that a little bit better. They might want to be a little tighter, but overall that element I was okay with. Like, make them do that. Make them, in the coaching world, they say, make them bleed you out. Make them really just kill you with those checkdowns. So I think, maybe a little too much of a cushion, you might argue, but I thought they played that pretty good. And then what was the second part of that question? I forgot.
Oh,
Sorry.
just in terms of the cornerbacks, and we mentioned obviously the press coverage there, and kind of playing that. But geez, I forgot the second part of the question myself too. So
yeah. Well, no, I think it was that too. I think for them in the beginning of the game, they're playing what's commonly referred to as like press bail techniques. So
right.
If I'm up in your face and on the snap, I'm going to run out of it. And that's what they did a lot. And I would do the same thing coming into that game. You're playing, some of the best receivers in America. I think the best passing offense conceptually I've seen in a long time. All the things they do down the field. And it's an offense based on taking shots. And those wideouts are physical. They're blocking down the field. They're good against press coverage. So you're coming in and playing your game plan and saying, we got to just survive. The first quarter, can we keep this a game? I think coming out of it, you're saying, hey, we did okay when we put our hands on these wide receivers. They weren't running free, wide open down the field. We showed some range at safety to be able to get over the top and be physical coming up in the run game. So I don't fault the game plan, because I do think in games like this, you just got to, especially with the backup quarterback and all the things we know and, where this Arizona program is, like, you want to adjust. And I think that was even like my checklist in the first quarter of just survive the first quarter. And they survived the first half, and they didn't, accept the knockout blow that was coming, in the third quarter. They get a turnover, and then it's a one-score game, So I just think there's a lot of takeaways that, while no one likes moral victories, and I get all that, I just think this is a growth moment for this team. And that's why I go into this weekend and do not be shocked again if it's a one-score game, one way or the other, late in this ball game. I fully expect, regardless of quarterback, for Arizona, for them to come in and give USC 4 quarters of everything they can handle.
Yogi Roth joining us from the Pac-12 Network. It's USC in Arizona this Saturday. And Yogi, just what has impressed you most about the Heisman Trophy winner Caleb Williams and his growth from last year to this year?
Gosh, how long have we got? The same stuff as from last year impresses me. I think that the thing that I noticed, and I was with Matt Leinart when he came back after winning a Heisman. That was my first year coaching. And I'm a voter, so I'm around these guys a lot. I meet them all at the Elite 11, this quarterback competition we do in the summers. And I just think that as the spotlight grows on you, it can be something to handle. It's something that nobody really references. So here's an example, and Matt has talked about this a bunch. We beat Notre Dame with a Bush push, and he comes into Steve Sarkisian's office, which is where I was working at the time with the quarterbacks at SC, and he completely, breaks down. And he just says, I need this bubble to kind of burst. It just became too much. And he had a level of celebrity that I think is comparable to Caleb's right now. Like you might see Caleb more on like television commercials or on social media ads, but Matt was the star among not many sports stars in LA at the time. And what we were doing in college football had never been done in college football in terms of on the road to win 3 straight national titles. That was the goal. And he just needed to kind of exhale. And I think a lot of times Heisman winning quarterbacks and quarterbacks in general have a moment every year like that. And for Caleb, I think he's kind of built that into his process. I really do, knowing him pretty well and, knowing that staff and that program probably as well as anybody, they do a good job of front loading how to manage all of those expectations, front loading how to manage your own personal expectations. So I think that's the thing. Now we'll see, because, adversity has to continue to strike on this team, and they haven't had to come back.
Yeah.
Right. They've jumped out to dramatic leads. I think Arizona's going to move the ball on them. You look at Notre Dame on the road. I mean, it's coming for sure. I mean, the adverse moments are coming. Lincoln Riley referenced it after the game, but I think he's just different, man. And for me, in my 23 years in major college football, he's the best player. He's the best quarterback I've ever seen. He just is. And he just does so many unique things. And the guys that are behind him aren't dramatically far, But what Caleb does, how he elevates people, his accuracy, his toughness, his competitiveness, his empathy, all of the things, especially now in this NIL era, I think he's the blueprint for elite athletes in this generation of sport. And I don't think that goes unnoticed.
Before we let you go, any desire by you to get back into coaching?
That's a great question. I get asked that every once in a while, so I appreciate it. I'd say this. If you looked at my call sheet in the booth any weekend that Ted Robinson and I get to call games, on the bottom it says two things. It says celebrate the game and coach the viewer. So while I'm not, coaching a quarterback drill this afternoon in practice, I really think it's my job, my honor, my responsibility to coach a viewer when you watch the games. And that's why, you don't hear me making like jokes that only I get, and if you do, you should light me up, or I don't try to, create catchphrases that are inappropriate. Like I try to coach the viewer, and celebrate the game and bring a bunch of juice while doing it with our incredible team. So I think I still am. I get to coach quarterbacks for a week or so every year with the Elite 11. But yeah, I'd be lying if I said I didn't miss the connectivity that coaching allows you. Thankfully, I got two young boys, so I'm trying to coach them. But I think there'll be a point in my life where, I'll be begging like Brennan for a job, and when he's a head coach somewhere in, 10 years or something like that. So who knows? But in the meantime, I love coaching viewers, and I hope that a viewer would say that they feel that or hear that when they're hearing me call a game.
Well, Yogi, it was a pleasure to getting to meet you finally for just a short period right before the game on Saturday. I wish you would be on our game every week so we could have you on every week.
Hey, we got you next week. I just found out a minute ago.
Washington
We're
State?
going to Pullman.
So, okay.
Yeah,
well, we'll see you in 2 weeks.
It'll be good.
We'll talk to you again in 2
should
weeks.
have on.
Who's that?
Totally. And this week I'm going to so we have the UCLA Washington State game Saturday at noon, and then right after I'm doing something I've never done in my career, which is get to 2 games in a day.
Ooh.
And I'm going to drive over and hang on the field and watch Arizona SC. And I'm coming with Jason Johnson, one of the premier players in Arizona Wildcat history.
Yes.
Good buddy of mine. He's going to be in LA doing some work. So I can't wait to spend time with him. You should have him on. He's an owner of a football team in Paris, which is just an amazing story in and of itself for a guy who he also played in Europe, and that's how he finished his playing career. So he and I connected with that. We're both part of that team in Paris and become a really good friend. And, I'm sure your listeners would love to get an update on JJ, but he'll be at the game Saturday for sure.
Absolutely. We'll definitely make that happen here in the short term. Hey, Yogi, appreciate your time as always. Have fun this weekend. We'll talk to you again.
Love it. See ya.
Yogi Roth, Pac-12 network analyst. He is one of the best out there, especially in this conference for sure. All right, getting you home every 20 minutes on the fives with your traffic and your weather. Here's Cricket.
I'm from the O'Reilly Chevrolet Traffic Center. This is Wildcats Radio 1290 Traffic and Weather Together, sponsored by O'Reilly Chevrolet. Reported collisions, Silver Bell and Twin Peaks. Twin Peaks and Silver Bell, a crash at Ajo and Park Avenue and Ajo Way. Grant and Silver Bell and Grant Road, and also Valencia and Nogales Highway is clearing. And our weather, clear skies overnight, 56 our low, 85 tomorrow and 87 now. I'm Cricket with your Wildcats Radio 1290 Traffic and Weather Together.
This report is sponsored by Blindster.com.
Hi, I'm Kyle at Blindster.com. Since 2010, Blindster has sold millions of custom blinds, shades, and shutters to satisfied customers across the country with 20,000 5-star reviews and an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau. Custom blinds at low prices and free shipping. Blindster.com.
October is National Roller Skating Month, and that is how a lot of us started out. However, it's Truck Month at O'Reilly Chevrolet, so if you'd like to skate in and drive on out, now is the time.
O'Reilly Chevrolet.
I thought I was going to have to go through a hip replacement or some painful, unsuccessful surgery or be crippled the rest of my life.
Electrical engineer Dan Vogler had awful arthritic pain in his hips. Pain that not only affected him physically, but also emotionally. And it spilled over even to his relationships.
I was almost mean. If you're in pain and other people don't sympathize with it, you're lashing out at the wrong people.
But then Dan found QC Kinetics. With the latest advances in regenerative medicine, non-surgical treatments with lasting relief.
I felt immediate relief. I mean, within half a day, much of the inflammation and pain was down.
And today, Dan says he's totally pain-free, living the life he wants.
At the end of the 4th treatment, I felt pretty much healed and enthused and was raving about QC Kinetics. I can recommend them highly to anyone.
Call QC Kinetics now for your free consultation.
Call QC Kinetics, 520-497-4955. That's 520-497-4955. 520-497-4955.
You want to protect her. You'll give anything to make sure nothing harms her. Every minute together makes unforgettable memories. Except that time you parked her under that tree and...
Oh, come on, man. Really?
Sorry, we'll never speak of it again. But remember who came to her rescue? Recon Auto Detailing. Arizona's premier auto detailing company comes directly to you. We'll make your masterpiece shine like it should, and with a monthly maintenance package, we'll keep it that way. Recon Auto Detailing. Online at recondetail.com.
There are many reasons you might need Dorado Rockin' Materials. A few bare spots in the yard. The driveway needs filling in. Or it could be that the yard needs a whole makeover. Whatever the reason, if your yard has the summertime blues, Dorado Rockin' Materials has everything from sand to boulders and every rock and pebble in between. If you need help spreading it, we have options for that too. Call 400-4233. Dorado Rockin' Materials. The right service, the right product, the right price.
I know where I'll be this October.
Where's that?
There's this spot in Tucson that's bringing all the next level thrills, unbeatable winning, exciting entertainment, and fall-tastic fun.
I know the place.
Desert Diamond Casinos. I can't wait to get in on all the action.
Tell me more.
Check it out. With the Thirsty Thursday Tribute Series, you can catch awesome live shows for free at Sahuarita's Diamond Center.
See you there.
Also on Thursdays at Tucson, Rolling Up Riches is your chance to win a share of over $100,000 in prizes.
I'll roll in for that.
Then every Friday now through the end of the month, it's Football Fortunes at Sahuarita. And 3 winners every hour score up to $1,500 cash.
That's true, Tucson.
All this
Wildcats Radio 1290.
DK on the Sports Tip on Wildcats Radio 1290.
Oh, man, this is a tough one, but I'm going to go with the home team and go Buffalo here. I think we were able to move the ball on Miami, but our defense could not stop them. And I think Buffalo's team gets a little bit of stops here, and they pull out the victory.
All right, that was Andrew Parker last Thursday, our Miller Lite Pigskin Challenge. He took the Buffalo Bills over the Miami Dolphins, who had been scoring the football like crazy. See, anything can happen. Everybody thinks, oh, my gosh, can anybody beat Miami? And the Bills did just that. Thank goodness, because Josh Allen is my fantasy quarterback. Yay, that's 2 weeks in a row that he has lit it up for me after not doing so the first week of the season. And so I might actually have a chance with my crappy little fantasy team. Andrew Parker joins us here. Andrew, congratulations. You are taking home a $25 gift card from Miller Lite for correctly picking the Buffalo Bills over the Miami Dolphins.
Let's go!
And you know the best part about that game was seeing DeMar Hamlin run out onto the field yesterday. How about that?
Heartwarming, wasn't it?
Heartwarming indeed. So did you get a chance to watch the game, Andrew? What'd you think?
Yeah, I watched portions of it. I'm a red zone person, so got to see some of those touchdowns. But, yeah, exactly how I thought it would play out. Maybe not as dominant for the Bills, but did think their defense would get a few stops, which definitely happened.
Yeah, I mean, Josh Allen, 320 yards, 4 touchdowns in the game. Stephon Diggs caught 3 of those 4 touchdowns and 120 yards. So a great day for the Buffalo offense in that respect, as they opened with a loss but have now won 3 straight games to tie the Dolphins for the top spot in the AFC's East Division. Now, what is your team again, Andrew? You're a Broncos fan, correct?
Yep, I'm a Broncos fan.
Okay, so you're happy. You're happy today because the Broncos won the toilet bowl.
Yeah, I guess I can be happy. I don't know. Well, I guess we'll see.
So is Peyton the answer? Is he over the hill as a coach, or do you think he just needs some time there?
I think he just needs some time. He needs to figure out the defense. I think he trusted the wrong coach in Vance Joseph, but I think he'll get that turned around. The offense is looking a lot better. Russ is looking a lot better. So I think he knows what he's doing on offense. I think he just needs to figure out the defense.
All right. Well, we'll see how that goes. Outstanding. All right. What'd you think of the Wildcats on Saturday night?
Hey, they held their own. I was surprised. Not gonna lie.
There you go. You went to the game or no?
No, I was at a wedding actually.
Oh, that's right. You had a wedding. Okay. Everything went well there. The bride said yes.
Great.
Everybody said I do. And, okay.
Yep. Everything went off.
All right, Andrew. Hey, congratulations. We will keep stay on the line. So I think we already have your information. Do we need to keep him on the line? Okay. So yeah, somebody will be in touch with you about coming by the station to pick up your Miller Lite $25 gift card. Okay.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you, Andrew Parker, a winner, the 3rd straight winner in our Miller Lite Pigskin Challenge every Thursday here on Wildcats Radio 1290. You have a chance to win something from Miller Lite, either a $25 gift card or a prize pack. I pick the game. You pick the first team. I take the second team. If your team wins, then you win $25. Now, if I win, the pot rolls over to the next week, and it becomes $50 like it was in week 2 because I won week 1.
It's never going to happen. Everybody's winning, DK.
Yeah,
no, you can't.
They're
picking first.
Me.
They get the choice.
Exactly. I'm trying to find close games, but there were no real tightly anticipated games this past weekend. That was a 2.5, I think, point spread in favor of the Bills, and they covered by 28.
I'll tell you what, you talked about it. You called that Broncos and Bears game the toilet bowl. I got that. Look, if that's the toilet bowl, then this is the sewage plant bowl coming up on Thursday night. The winless Panthers and the winless Bears going at it. There will only be one team left in the league that hasn't taken home a W this week.
Well, speaking of NFL, why don't we get to Dragon Ball? He has a full update on what is happening in the National Football League.
Well, I want to go ahead and start off talking about that Broncos and Bears game. Right now, Matt Eberflus might be the most disliked man in Chicago. You are up 28-7 in that contest. and you found a way to not only lose 31-28, but you lost it in regulation. It wasn't even an overtime game. And now the Bears are 0-4, 0-2 at home. But the offense actually showed out pretty well. Again, 21 points in the first half. It looked like Justin Fields, the main answer was just getting rid of Chase Claypool, apparently, because the former Steeler second round pick, if I'm not mistaken, Chase Claypool, was not only a healthy scratch in that contest, DK, he has been told by the Bears starting this week, stay home. Don't come to practice. Don't worry about it. We are
They're
not.
telling a lot of people to stay home in that facility.
Yes. So right now, it looks like the Bears are trying to work around a deal to try and maybe get a trade for Chase Claypool, probably get a 5th or a 6th round pick. If not, they may eventually just outright release him. Another game that went on this weekend that was a bit of a shock in regards to a comeback opportunity, the Eagles and the Commanders. Again, the Eagles undefeated right now, still 4-0, but the Commanders and Eric Bieniemy in that new look offense in Washington showed that they can hang with some of the big guys out there. Sam Howell was able to lead the charge, got a touchdown at the very last second of the game. In fact, no time on the clock left. Game went to overtime, but the Eagles found a way to go and get the win. They remain undefeated. They are staying up there along with the San Francisco 49ers in the NFC. Right now, the NFC, it's a bit of a two-team race right there. I know that people want to say, well, you got to take the Buccaneers and Baker Mayfield, but we've seen what that team does against the Eagles. I like the Eagles and the 49ers right now. They're the favorites in the NFC at the current time being.
Jake Elliott kicked the 54-yard field goal to win that game.
Yes.
Like, what goes on with these kickers after they leave college? We don't see a ton of 50-yard field goals in college football. It seems like we see 5 or 6 every single week in the National Football League.
Well, I'll tell you why. Is because NFL teams are paying kickers to make those kicks. Right there when it comes to college.
So what, the pressure now, you get the pressure to make it now makes you be able to kick it another 5 or 6 yards consistently?
Think about it like this. Like, you're either a 15-year vet who stays with the same team or maybe 2 teams, or you get cut the week after you miss a game-winning field goal. I mean, that's the profession, right? I mean, those guys are either the names that you've heard, including Nick Folk, year after year after year after year, either that or you're expendable.
Yeah.
You're right. Again, Nick Folk currently listed as the number 2 active points scorer in the NFL, just behind Matt Prater of the Cardinals. So kickers, if they're going to stay in the league for a long time to get to those numbers, you got to make those 50-yard field goals. So again, the Eagles remain undefeated. And I'm just going to go ahead and talk a little bit about the Toy Story game that took place on ESPN. Bijan Robinson and the Falcons, they went into that game overseas. Bijan had a pretty nice game, 105 yards on 14 carries on the day, but the Jaguars offense seemed to finally find a little bit of what they've been hoping to see from Trevor Lawrence and Calvin Ridley. They go to 2-2. The Falcons dropped to 2-2, but I just got to say, I'm not looking forward to the future of football if it's going to be with wind-up toys on ESPN. I'm just not looking forward to that. It was a very bizarre look for a broadcast, to say the least.
I've got Calvin Ridley. He at least scored 1 touchdown yesterday.
Again, the other big game that we just talked about right now, the Bills and the Dolphins. The main thing that's sad to come out of that game right now is that we are hearing that Tre'Davious White will be done for the year. He did tear his Achilles. It was pretty evident when watching the clip live. His calf basically did the same thing that Aaron Rodgers did, where it kind of had that tighten and then it kind of just popped on the back end of the run there. So sadly, his season is done. The Bills are still looking to get Von Miller back in practice this week. So Von is back, but they will have to go ahead and do some reshuffling on the defensive backfield side of things right now. So the other thing going around, the AFC North apparently now is injured quarterbacks are us. Joe Burrow had a very bad game. The Titans ended up destroying the Bengals in that game. Still don't know what's going on with the Bengals. His Joe Burrow's star wide receiver, Jamar Chase, is saying he's always open. He's always bleeping open. So offensive distress is coming to that Bengals team right now.
Oh, boy. The Bengals, the Browns, and the Steelers could not get to 15 points.
No. And the Steelers, they are saying that Kenny Pickett, it was a bone bruise. He could even come back to play in this week's game, but they do have the bye in week 6, so we'll see how they play with that. The other one is Browns quarterback Deshaun Watson. Kevin Stefanski just came out earlier today saying that Watson was medically cleared to play, but he chose to sit. The coach is saying that about the quarterback. So Watson earlier in the weekend had actually said he's good to go. And now apparently Kevin Stefanski's saying that his quarterback chose to sit rather than play. So some question marks coming out right now in the AFC North with the quarterback position. And the last thing that we'll go ahead and get into real quick, Zach Wilson outplayed Patrick Mahomes there, DK. 245 yards, no interceptions, 2 touchdowns. But Patrick Mahomes, even with 2 picks, still found a way to go and get the Chiefs a win on Sunday Night Football. And I'm sure the Zach Wilson detractors will still come out in droves this week.
All right, that is your Dragon Ball NFL update for this Monday. Oh my gosh, did you see? Did you see? Okay, and then of course we'll talk a little bit about the Browns because I love the Browns sometimes anyway. Did you see the David Njoku outfit that he showed up at the game with?
Well, to be fair, he needed to show up with some fire retardant clothing, to say the least, because he did actually burn himself in his backyard fire pit just before the game on Saturday night. So, I mean,
full on mask with no shirt and a fur coat.
Hey, sometimes
and it was 80 degrees. I mean, I get the fur coat in Cleveland in December, but it's not even December yet.
One other thing I wanted to quickly mention right now, we've officially got the numbers on the Sunday Night Football spike because of the Taylor Swift effect that we were talking about earlier.
Yes.
53% up from the season-to-date average for the first 3 weeks of Sunday Night Football. Audience among women 18 to 24 up 24%. Women 35 and over, 34% increase according to the Nielsen rankings. So apparently, the Taylor Swift effect does bring women to watch football. So there you go.
All right. We will have much more coming up in our next hour. Chris Kidney is going to join us. We'll talk to the coach, Fred Harvey. U of A track. It is Mental Health Awareness Week, and Fred has some important things to say about that. This is DK on the Sports Tip. I'm David Kelly along with Dragon Ball Cricket and J-Dub, and you're listening to Wildcats Radio 1290.
From the O'Reilly Chevrolet Traffic Center, this is Wildcats Radio 1290 Traffic and Weather Together. Collisions that are clearing Broadway east of Pantano Road, Silver Bell and Twin Peaks, Ahaway and Park Avenue, and also Valencia and Nogales Highway. Some backups for westbound Valencia, approaching Nogales Highway. And weather-wise, 56 are low with clear skies. We'll see about 85 as our high tomorrow and 87 now. I'm Cricket with your Wildcats Radio 1290 Traffic and Weather Together.
Sponsored by Blindster.com.
Hi, I'm Kyle at Blindster.com, and I sell custom blinds designed for do-it-yourselfers. Unlike stock blinds offered at big box retailers, Blindster blinds are custom made for your windows and shipping is free. Don't hire an expensive pro. Do it yourself and save big at Blindster.com.
Desert Fury is here, and the Wildcats need you in Arizona Stadium. Double or triple your Arizona football experience by picking your plan. The Desert Fury plan doubles your games. Choose from Washington or UCLA, and then choose from Oregon State or Utah games starting at just $35. The 3-game flex plan triples your games. Choose any 3 games starting at just $46. Pick your plan by going to ArizonaWildcats.com/FB, and we'll see you at Arizona Stadium.
Hi, this is Tim Couch, retired NFL quarterback for the Cleveland Browns, partner at Meridian Wealth Management, and proud member of Meridian's Tucson Advisory Business Council. It's my favorite time of year, college football season. I've always been a proud Wildcat. As our firm has grown in Tucson with Ruben and Natalie Fernandez, I now cheer on 2 Wildcats every year. My alma mater of Kentucky, of course, and our U of A Cats. Here's to a great football season, and go Cats.
Advisory services provided by Meridian Wealth Management, a registered investment advisor.
The Wildcats play here. This is your home of Arizona Wildcats football, men's basketball, and baseball. This is the home of the Wildcats. You're listening to Wildcats Radio 1290.
License 240693.
Broken AC?
It should be fixed.
Broken furnace?
Gotta fix it.
We believe broken things should be fixed.
And boy, are we good at it. But if Alaskan AC fixed something, and you decide you would rather upgrade to something new,
we'll deduct whatever you paid for the repair to a brand new system.
Even if we didn't do the repair. How about that? We know you've been dreaming about one of those sexy new systems. Gary's definition of sexy is different from regular people.
So if we did a repair,
or anyone did one in the past 6 months,
we'll deduct the price of that repair from the cost of a new, more efficient heating and cooling system.
Saving money on something new? And major savings on your utility bills.
It's another polar bear promise that we'll do whatever it takes to make sure every room in your home is comfortable.
Every room.
soccer and volleyball. The weekend finished with soccer getting shut out once again, Stanford beating them 3-0. Volleyball lost to Cal on Friday and then were later swept in 3 sets to the Cardinal on Sunday as well. The Arizona cross-country team went out to the Dave Murray Invitational, and the men came in second place in the 8K, right behind NAU, go Lumberjacks, while the women finished in 4th place. And with a lot of talk around the NBA's new resting policy, one star says that the one NBA star that many say is the focus of the rule change, Clippers star Kawhi Leonard, says that no league policy is helping him play more games. And that was said at today's media day for the Clippers. Again, Leonard tore his ACL in the second round against the Suns back in 2021. He missed the entire following season. Leonard has not played in more than 60 games in a season since 2016-2017. That's your 2020 Sports Update. We'll have more for you here on Wildcats Radio 1290.
Live from the CNWT.
Wait, what's the CNWT?
Central Northwest Tucson. Duh.
It's D-Day on the Sports Tip with your host, David Kelly.
Radio. Just when I thought I was out, they drug me back in.
Featuring J.W. Madden.
Don't tell me about flip-flops, man. I'm a native.
David Amata.
Hey, that's Dragon Ball to you.
And Cricket getting you home with traffic and weather.
Camp on Melt Lemon, not in the left lane on the freeway.
Here we go! And now, a man who has not one, but 3 first names, David Scott Kelly.
Hour number 2 of the program. DK on the Sports Tip, Monday, October the 2nd. Welcome to October. Playoff baseball's on the horizon. The Diamondbacks are headed to Milwaukee to take on Craig Counsell and the Brewers in the American League wild card. There is nothing better than playoff baseball. I love this month. I love the race for the World Series championship. The Astros found their way back in. I didn't even look to see who are the final teams in the who won the American League wild card.
Well, the American League, sadly, the Mariners once again dropped it at the very end of the run. So it's going to be the Rays, the Rangers, and the Blue Jays are all going to be in your wild card, super wild card weekend this week.
That was disappointing, especially after the Mariners had played so well and made the postseason last year that they could not improve on that and make it 2 years in a row. All right, so we got the Blue Jays. That Blue Jays team is very interesting just because they have so many sons of major league players on that team. I think that's definitely a team to keep an eye on. I always, I grew up, my uncle played for the Orioles for a number of years, so I've always kind of been a closet Baltimore Orioles fan. I don't obviously have a rooting interest this year because other than the Diamondbacks, I want to see the Diamondbacks do well in the National League, but I don't really have a rooting interest in the American League per se. But I'll cheer for the Orioles. I'll keep an eye on the Blue Jays for sure. I'm not big into the Braves, or I've been a Dodger fan forever in terms of having spent a very large portion of my life in Los Angeles. So I'll kind of probably root for the Dodgers in the National League along with the Diamondbacks. If you can,
you better have a good reason to root for the Dodgers or the Yankees. Unless your grandpa's like a Yankee fan or you grew up in L.A.
I grew up in L.A. I spent time growing up in L.A. That is my reason.
Neutral fans out there, do not pick the Dodgers or the Yankees as your choice for a team to root for. Nobody will respect you unless you have a reason.
Indeed. All right, the Wildcats football team is on the road to Southern California this weekend to take on the undefeated team from downtown Los Angeles. And we do not know who's going to start at quarterback this week. We did not know that yesterday or this past week either. But Jed Fish talked a little bit about that in his press conference today. We'll let you hear from the head coach of the Arizona Wildcats on his quarterback situation.
Well, got done watching the game numerous times this past week on yesterday, and this morning really focused fully on SC. But rewatched the game, and a lot of great things in the game. A lot of things that our football team looked really good, and then in a lot of ways, I also felt like we gave way too many opportunities to a good team. We were in position there, recovering a fumble. Thought we recovered it. That would have been one less touchdown. Had a chance to throw a touchdown pass at the end of the half. Missed on that. That was a 4-point swing. Had a play early in the game that looked like should have been a touchdown. We missed the throw. had a 4th and 3. I made a bad call on. So there were some opportunities in that game that really, as you watch it, it's hard to watch sometimes. So I'm really excited about where we're heading, where the program's going, what the team looks like. And we know that we got a great challenge ahead of us this week where all of our focus will be. I know that Washington's a very good football team, and they'll continue to be top 10 program, top 10 team. And that's what we will aspire to be as well.
What is the plan for the quarterbacks this weekend? What did you take away from Noah and how he looked?
Well, the plan will be similar. I think that as we talked on Saturday night, that we'll evaluate Jaden from yesterday's rehab. This morning he was in treatment. I think I saw him at like 7:20 this morning in the building getting treatment done. So he was in treatment all morning, then he'll rest this afternoon, player day off, and then tomorrow we'll reassess him in the morning to see if he has any ability to practice, if he is capable of being able to drop and some of the things, or we'll just use tomorrow as another rehab day. And then Noah will take all the reps with Braden Dorman in that case. So we'll know better tomorrow. And then as for Noah, how do I feel Noah played? Welcome, Michael. How do I think that Noah played? I think he played at a good level, and for a guy that was thrown into a game that was in front of a sellout crowd against a top 10 team. I think he missed maybe 8 passes, I think something like that, or he was 29 for 37 or 27 for 39, whatever it was. I think he completed at a very high percentage of passes and did a nice job moving the ball and threw 3 touchdown passes. Sure, he'd like the interception back, but I thought he played at a really high level. You look around college football, I know Notre Dame, Duke lost their quarterback. I know that Kansas lost their quarterback, and it's very tough to win in those circumstances. But Noah gave us a chance to do that, and I'm excited about if Noah is playing this coming week, that he'll give us a great chance to win.
The NEU game.
All right, that is the head coach of the Arizona Wildcats, Jed Fish. We'll let you hear a little bit more of that coming up a little bit later, what he had to say today about the Wildcats' 31-24 loss. So, and one thing he did say at the end is if Jaden Delore is healthy on Saturday, then it's a pretty safe bet that he will start at quarterback against the Trojans at the Coliseum on Saturday. 520-848-1290, 520-848-1290 is the number to get in on the program. Friday night was also the Red-Blue game at McHale Center. Got our first chance to see the Arizona Wildcats on the floor. And I'll tell you, the player that kind of stood out to me was Paulius Morauskas, the young freshman. That guy has got some ability to shoot the basketball and shoot it from distance. And I think he's going to be a very similar player to what we saw here at the University of Arizona to Lauri Markkanen. And that's a guy that can play inside but can also go outside like we see with a lot of these European players and give you points from the perimeter as well. I think he was one guy that stood out to me. I wasn't sure going in kind of what KJ Lewis's role was going to be as a freshman coming in here from El Paso/Dallas, Texas, but I thought that the kid can play defense, and that was one of the things that came out of that was his ability to defend. And I think anytime that you've got a freshman who can defend, that's going to allow you maybe to get on the floor in your first year in college. So those two guys in particular, I thought stood out to me the most. J-Dub, you were there as well. What did you see?
Yeah, same. I mean, obviously you know what you're getting with Jaden Bradley and Caleb Love transferring in. The freshmen, there's quite a few of them, DK. But when you're talking about a guy like Paulius, obviously the three-point line over there in Europe, it's important for guys who are 6'8", 6'9", 6'10" to be able to knock that shot down. It's a huge part of the game. So not surprising to see a guy come in as a freshman with that kind of range. I love the aggressive decision-making by Keyshawn Johnson. By all of the players that I saw that were the new players, but mostly KJ Lewis is who you're talking about just then.
Yeah.
when you see a guy come in who's a freshman, you talked about the rotation, maybe KJ Lewis, maybe the odd guy out. To me, it's really about having full confidence in your decision making when you're on the court. That's defensively and offensively. Hesitation. There's not time to think about what it is that you want to be doing. It's all read and react. At this level, it's so much faster. And when a freshman can come in, especially on the perimeter, and make quick decisions like that, I love his aggressiveness on defense. I think he's going to be a plus defender in time. We'll see how much time he gets. But I'll tell you one thing, David Kelly, he's guarding Kylan Boswell and Jaden Bradley and Caleb Love in practice. So, I mean, he's already going up against some of the nation's premier guards, and that's only going to help moving forward as far as his ability to stay in front of guys.
Yeah, and I was interesting because I thought excuse me. Excuse me there. Gonna choke and die out here on the radio. Right? Yeah, I think so. A little clogged up there. One of the things that I saw was that I didn't necessarily think that Kylan had a great game offensively. And I went back and watched some of the video I shot, and that was because, as you mentioned, KJ Lewis was guarding him.
Yeah,
in some of those instances during that game.
Personally, I mean, everybody can have their own opinions about this early season stuff. To me, I don't take anything away of the actual play inside of scrimmages like this because, number one, we don't know what the coaching staff behind the scenes is telling some of these players, what they're really looking for them to do to improve on and the things. So there might be wrinkles to Kylan, for instance, what the coaches are asking him to work on right now. He may be not going to his strengths, right? Because this is the time of year where they're trying to figure out what they have before they put a rotation together and then figure that out through the first couple exhibition games and moving forward. What we do know is that there's a ton of talent. There's a ton of guys on this team, including, 7 newcomers, TK, who could very well get into that rotation. So I'm not so sure how much stock I put into the actual red-blue scrimmage and how much you can take away from the play of each individual. And I say that going back 40 years of seeing red-blue games and seeing games where guys will score 35 points in the game and might not even be in the rotation once the season gets going. But the guys that you already know to count upon, Umar Ballo, obviously Kylan Boswell, Pella Larson, the guys coming back, those guys, you already know what you're getting. To me, the next month leading up into the exhibition, watching the new guys fold themselves into that and seeing how Coach Lloyd wants to utilize them, how deep into his bench he's going to be going this year. All those decisions are being made behind the scenes right now. And those practices, I guarantee you, are at the highest level.
Yeah, that's one of the things that Umar said in his post-game comments, and we'll see if we can get you some of that sound later in the show as well. He just said it's been a battle. It's been a battle and they've been only practicing for a week now.
Well, you come in right with like 5 guys coming back as starters, and maybe you know who your 6th man already is. If that's the kind of team you got coming back, DK, that's not the case this year. This year there are 3 returning rotation players and a whole bunch of guys competing for the rest of those spots. So it's going to be unbelievably competitive going into the season.
That could be an interesting front line. Krivas, Ballo, and Morauskas this year for the Arizona Wildcats. All right, 520-848-1290. 520-848-1290 is the number to get in on the program. Coming up, Chris Kidney is going to join us. We're going to talk some high school football. We are heading into week 8. We might actually need a jacket this week for high school football. I said last week, as like one of the things we always talked about in TV every year was how long we could go into the season before we had to put on a coat for Friday night. Well, if it's going to be 59 tonight, we might be wearing a coat for week 8 this weekend. Chris Kidney will join us. We'll talk about what's happening around the world of prep football. That is coming up next. But right now, we want to make sure we get you home with your traffic and your weather every 20 minutes on the 5s. Here's Cricket.
From the O'Reilly Chevrolet Traffic Center, this is Wildcats Radio 1290 Traffic and Weather together. With the closure, Prince Road east of Tucson Boulevard closed for urgent water line work. You could use Fort Lowell instead. Reported collisions at Ahaway and Park Avenue. Valencia and Nogales Highway. Broadway east of Pantano Road and also 12th Avenue to the south of Valencia. And weather-wise, we'll see clear skies overnight, 56, our low, 85 tomorrow, and 86 now. I'm Cricket with your Wildcats Radio 1290 traffic and weather together.
This report is sponsored by Lowe's. Lowe's knows fall is the perfect time for outdoor projects. Right now, you can keep your yard looking its best and save. Take care of leaves with leaf blowers starting at just $89.98. Lowe's knows home improvement. While supplies last, see store for details.
For the ones who get it done, the most important part is the one you need now. And the best partner is the one who can deliver. That's why millions of maintenance and repair pros trust Grainger. Because we have professional-grade supplies for every industry, even hard-to-find products. And we have same-day pickup and next-day delivery on most orders. But most importantly, we have an unwavering commitment to help keep you up and running. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Remember, if you listen to the Jim Rome Show, you were listening to 1290.
It's all on the up and up. It's all straight, and that's how that is.
Tucson's home of the Jim Rome Show. He's also your home of the NFL. This is Wildcats Radio 1290.
Coming to the Desert Diamond Casino Entertainment Center Saturday, October 21st, comedian Ronnie Chang.
Cancel me. You think MAGA idiots, Asian hate, Twitter people scare me? What are you gonna do? Cancel me so I have to go back to Malaysia where I'm a national hero?
Ronnie Chang, Saturday, October 21st. Doors open at 7, show starts at 8. Tickets starting at $40 for mature audiences.
An enterprise of the Donna Autumn Nation.
Did you know that the Chevy Silverado is the #1?
about what could be coming on the horizon for the 2025 class, the top-ranked point guard recruit in Aaliyah Chavez has revealed her top 10 commitment choices, and the Wildcats are in that race. The Lubbock, Texas Star also has several West Coast teams on her list, including USC and UCLA, and some incoming rivals for Arizona in women's basketball, and Texas Tech are also in that top 10. Now, we got some news about NFL running backs going around the league right now. First thing we'll say, star running back for the Giants, Saquon Barkley, will not play tonight against the Seahawks. He's officially been ruled inactive with an ankle injury. And top running back for the Colts, Jonathan Taylor, he's eligible to return to practice. He says that he was able to go and get his physically unable to perform list cleared today. Colts coach Shane Station said
nobody can breathe today. What's going on?
Apparently not.
Hey, I'm breathing just fine in here, guys.
May have been the fire warning I saw something about this morning. Colts coach Shane Station said that Taylor will resume practice with the team on Wednesday and could play against the Titans on Sunday. We'll see if that actually does happen, as Taylor has continued contract disputes with the Colts. That's just one day sports update. We'll have more for you here on Wildcats Radio 1290.
DK on the sports tip on Wildcats Radio 1290.
All right, let's welcome in an in-studio guest. We love when we have in-studio guests here. And Chris Kidney joins us here. Chris Kidney from SOAZ Football, Southern Arizona Football, is our guest. Chris, welcome to the show.
Man, what a pleasure to be here, man. Seriously.
Now, you've got this great website, Facebook page, everything, Southern Arizona Football. I mean, you're just doling out the stats and rankings and all of this. How did this all come together for you?
Well, actually, just as a parent, that was the main thing. I had a son, obviously, going in through Papa Warner football, started going over to high school football. And I would always look for stats and things like that, like, hey, how do I get involved with football in general? And with my background of being a club DJ and marketing like nightclubs and stuff like that, I was like, there's something missing. How do we make it better? So I started doing graphic design, started getting into everything, kind of putting out information. And bada bing, bada boom, we're busy doing stuff and posting things out to a community that was actually just had a little void of this. It was just missing.
Yeah, it's interesting because I've lived in some communities where high school football is huge, and then I've lived in somewhere where it's not as big. I would kind of put this in the middle to upper echelon, but there's never really. I mean, I've been here since 2008. I think the only time that I've ever heard high school football on the radio was, I think, the one year they did it here with South Point Catholic, and I lived in a lot of markets where you always hear high school football on the radio, and obviously some people have now begun to stream it. And that's kind of the realm that you've taken. You guys are streaming games now as well this year, and if you haven't seen the production, I mean, it's considering this is your guys' first year. I mean, the production value you guys have over at Southern Arizona Football is incredible.
So what happened was I teamed up with these guys. They're called the Varsity Breakdown. They kind of started their thing, kind of seeing what I was doing down here in Pinal County, and they were like, hey, look, we're really liking what you're doing down there. And one of the guys, his name's Daniel, was actually doing broadcasting school. And he was like, you know what? I'm interested. How do we do this? So we kind of teamed up, and we're like, hey, look, man, nobody's just pushing record. And that's the biggest thing is, like, you can't change the game if you're not playing the game. So we were like, you know what? Let's get out here and let's do things. Let's reach out to some schools. Let's get a little list of what we're going to do. And by all means, it's trial and error. We've had some horrible moments where Wi-Fi is just not our friend.
Exactly.
Like you guys have probably
Trust
experienced.
me, we know all about that.
Right. So and so all of a sudden we're like, hey, how do we do this? And we wanted to put out a quality product. Not, God bless everybody who does it with their phones and everything like that. And I encourage parents to get out there and just stream. Just push record, like I said. But it's like we wanted to come up with a product that was just like light years away from what Tucson really experiences that often. I mean, Cienega, where my son went, they actually had a cool little broadcast media class, which they do some really great stuff over there. So we kind of wanted, like, okay, let's help these. And you said it actually on your show last week when you were playing over at the Catalina to Tinker Verde. Let's show some love to some of these schools that just don't get it.
Yeah,
and it's been loads of fun. I mean, I can't even argue, man.
Chris Kidney from Southern Arizona Football is our guest. They are doing broadcasting. They're doing rankings. Now, how do you come up with your rankings every week? Is that all you, or do you have a team of guys?
So honestly, what happened was, it's funny how all the information is out. You can find it anywhere. Like Max Preps always posts up a lot of the information for the high school kids. And so what I started to do was condensing the information, making it and doing graphics and everything to make it interesting and putting it in a place where parents didn't normally have to go off their social media platform. They would just go right on there. They were already on Facebook. So now I'm putting it right where they want it. And I would just condense it down to the schools that mattered to us.
Okay.
And just post out that information. And
so this is AZ Preps, Max Preps' rankings. These aren't your okay. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I thought you were. I was like, man, they're like going 37 deep with these rankings. I thought you guys were doing those yourself. But but no, that's a good way to do it because it's incredible. I tell people all the time, it's like, sometimes you have to go fishing in 6 to 7 different places just to find information on these kids when you want to try to find out who they are and give them some love. But yeah, it makes sense to try to put it all in one place.
Well, and what I started doing was I would compile just the regions that were associated with the 25 high schools that are here in Tucson. So all of a sudden, I got Benson, I got Bisbee, I got Douglas. I'm all the way out to Morenci. You got all those, and then now with the varsity breakdown, we're probably over. I would easily say probably 70 some odd schools.
Wow.
That we're working with, and just confine like putting all this information where it's simple and easy to find for these kids. And it's often a market that these kids don't get to shine. So it's just been a magnet, man, just a positive magnet for a lot of these kids.
Yeah, and but you still do need coaches to make sure they get that information. I know it's something that the Morales brothers have preached to coaches. I mean, find a parent that can keep stats. It's not that difficult. I understand coaches have a gazillion things going on, but that's why you have a booster club. Have the booster club, find parents who can keep stats so you can make sure you got the numbers out there. So people like me, I want to give your program some love, but if I don't have information, I'm not at every game. I'm looking to see, okay, I want to be able to 1-2 click and find out what, Caden Luke, how many yards he ran for on Friday night, so I can say that on my show Monday. But if you don't have the stats out there, like some of these schools don't, you're robbing your kids of a chance to get rewarded for all the hard work they're putting in the summer and in the fall.
What's funny is when I started doing this, only 50% of the schools pretty much in Southern Arizona was posting stats.
Yeah.
So I start doing this, Tuesday night or Tuesday release stats, whoever. And the one thing that really helps is because I had such a huge parent following. Next thing you know, they would reach out to the coaches. Hey, why is my son not getting that love?
Mm-hmm.
And so all of a sudden, I started to build the relationships with the coaches and all this other stuff. And it's like, hey, look, coach, I'm not waiting till Wednesday. You better have your stuff up on by Tuesday.
Yeah.
And the next thing you know, it's all of a sudden, we're actually trimmed it down a lot. You've run into a couple programs that I wish would kind of hint would work on their stats. But other than that, it's all about, I don't care what your record's like. There's a kid on your team that's doing something successfully well. And whether it's tackling, whatever the case might be. So, you hit it dead on the head. We got to show some love to these kids.
Chris Kidney from Southern Arizona Football is our guest. All right, let's talk. There were some big games this past weekend. Push Ridge and Sabino, maybe the biggest game in Southern Arizona from this past Friday night. And Sabino turned the tables on them from last year when they lost by 3 touchdowns up on the north side. They won by as many this year. What do you like about that 3A? Some of the 3A powers that we were talking to Andy Morales last week, some of those 3A powers have moved on. Now, this has become a division where Southern Arizona could produce a champion.
Oh, yeah. So the 3A South is actually the strongest region in 3A, period.
It might be the strongest region across the board, I think, when you talk about top to bottom as far as strength of programs, I think.
Absolutely.
I think there's 5 or 6 really good programs in there every year.
Right now, last I checked, if the rankings go as it is, every single team in that region will actually make it to the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
And you brought up a great team. Sabino, they've got amazing talent out there. My man Cam Hackworth is out there doing his thing. That kid's slinging the ball like nobody else right now. You got the Berry brothers, Berry Hill brothers doing their
Jamar
thing.
and Savon.
Oh, absolutely. It's you can see that whole skill position over at Sabino, just killing it. But then again, on the other side of the ball, as you mentioned, in Push Ridge, we've seen a couple of their games. I mean, you got some amazing guys with Bubba Mustaine throwing the ball over there. I mean, we have great 3A football. Interesting that you brought up that region. It's a solid region across the board. Even our guys out there in Safford, Thatcher, they're all doing well.
How about the game that just shocked me? Marana going on the road and beating Buena 55-0 on Friday night. I'd seen Buena at Tucson High. They struggled a little bit offensively early. They got it together later on, but that score surprised me. I didn't think Marana was that much better than Buena.
Well, this is where I get kind of ugly when it gets into like spreadsheets and stuff, because what I do is I sit there and I look at what's the strength of the schedule these teams have been playing.
Yeah.
So when you watched Marana coming into that game, they played some dogs.
Yeah.
True. I mean, it's not like easy, knock on wood with these teams. Buena's had a little bit softer schedule, which has kind of played into their wins and victories over there. I'm really interested to watch where Buena goes throughout the rest of the when you get into the region play as we are, to see where they end up. But yeah, they came in with their first time. I think it's been in a while, 5-0.
Yeah,
for Buena.
Yeah,
so.
first time since '77.
Coach Joe Thomas down there. Those guys are amazing. Love them.
Yeah, that Joe is one of the best around. We were out. You mentioned we were out there at Catalina Tancaverde. Tancaverde won again this past Friday night. Jay Dobbins built that thing, and now Jeff Bono has taken and run with it. And they're going to. I would think with him at the helm, they'll probably stay a pretty solid program out there on the east side in 2A.
Oh, absolutely. Jeff Bolnow, when he was over there with Cienega having Pat Nugent, he was over there for years. Actually got to work with Coach Sweeney, his strength and conditioning coach, which he's kind of cloning all that over at Tancaverde. He stepped over there for, I think, a couple of seasons over at Sahuarita. And as you mentioned, Jay Dobbins, I mean, one of the greats. I think he's actually over helping out with
Saguaro, I believe.
Over at Saguaro, yeah, absolutely. So you got a lot of those old a lot of the old South Point guys that kind of ran with that over there at the Saguaro grouping. So it's really been it's exciting to watch some of these teams, man. And Bolnow's one of those guys. What are they saying right now? It's Bowl Ball or Bolnow Bowl?
Is that what?
Something like that.
Bolnow Ball. That's a good way to say it. So who else has impressed you that you've seen so far this year?
Oh, wow. The odd part is because I've been doing a lot of the streaming stuff up in the Pinal County and stuff like that. I haven't really seen much. I will say this, Micah Mountain. Micah Mountain has impressed me. I had them actually losing a couple games, which I never hear the end of it. I had them losing Post and Butte. Those guys wouldn't let go of me on that one. And then I turned around and said, well, it'll probably be Casa Grande. And unfortunately, I don't know if anybody's out there to stop them. I know Peace over there, over at CDO, probably won't let it go away.
I think that's next week.
And they actually, if you look back last year, it was an ugly game over there with CDO and Micah Mountain.
I was there that night,
so I don't know if CDO wants to have that repeat. So
no, I don't think they do.
I think, but it's kind of interesting to see the history, the backstory of it with Coach Nugent obviously being one of the mentors for Peace. So it's good things.
That's going to be the game of the year if they both win this week and head into that contest undefeated. Chris, tell everyone where they can find you.
Oh, I'm all over. Mainly the ones that I do is Facebook and Twitter. It's just SOAZ Football. You can find me there. You just chase me down. Typically, if you just type in SOAZ Football anywhere, you'll find me. And it's, I want the community to jump in. That's the way we make changes.
Yeah, I mean, and you talked about your ability to make graphics. I told Chris I wanted him on the show, and I said let's book it Monday at 4:20. And the next thing I knew, like 5 minutes later, he had a graphic for the show. I was like, a graphic for his appearance on the show. I was like, man, I need to have you making my graphics.
My whole thing is this is like, so it started out like I said in the music industry and stuff like that, doing a lot of marketing, promoting and stuff like that, and so like bringing that element to the football community is actually what's kind of made it look different. Make it, we need that media social presence. That's why I love like what your guys are doing here. Like, you brought up the Morales brothers earlier, Sports 520, all those guys. Like it's we need this to make our community stronger. And if we're quiet and we're not posting things and we're not doing things, then then we're just going to have a community that mimics that. So we got to be out there.
Chris used to spin some records down at a little sushi place called On a Roll. I don't know if you remember, Chris, because I would go down there sometimes. I would always tip you before I left. Because I used to DJ.
Okay.
So I will always tip a good DJ if I'm at some place and I live, and I think I tipped you quite a few times.
So
left a little $5 bill on the DJ stand.
That means I must have impressed a little bit. You know?
You were there. I told you, man. I used to go. That would be one of the reasons I would go down there. I was like, I want to go down because I know they got the good DJ down there, and he spins good music, and I can eat my rice and my chicken and rice and
the Tucson chicken.
Exactly.
Tucson chicken. I'll tell you what, man, that was probably one of my favorite places. And I played at places like Pearl and Wildcat House and all those the big spots. It was just the owners, the atmosphere, the everything, the staff, everything like that. It was one of those moments of my life. I mean, kind of came to a point where a lot of things came around where it all ended, but I mean, one of the best places probably here in town that I've remembered.
All right, Chris, we're going to have you back.
Okay.
You'll come back?
Oh, anytime.
All right. Chris Kidney. It's Southern Arizona football. Be sure you check them out on Facebook, on Twitter, and all the great stuff that they're doing with high school football here in Southern Arizona. Chris, appreciate it as always.
Anytime.
Chris Kidney is our guest. 20 minutes on the fives with Cricket.
From the O'Reilly Chevrolet Traffic Center, this is Wildcats Radio 1290 Traffic and Weather Together. Reported collisions, Prince Road and 1st Avenue, Broadway near Sarnoff, some slowing at that intersection, Valencia and Nogales Highway, Ahaway and Park Avenue, Broadway east of Pantano Road, Twin Peaks near Silverbell also clearing. 56 are low with clear skies and about 85 tomorrow and 85 now. I'm Cricket with your Wildcats Radio 1290 Traffic and Weather Together.
This report is sponsored by Big O Tires. Now at Big O Tires, get a $70 rebate on all passenger or light truck Michelin tires through October 29th. Plus, get an additional $70 rebate on installation of select sets of 4 Michelin tires. Big O Tires, the team you trust. Installation charges extra required on all 4 tires. Not valid with any other offer. See website for terms and conditions.
We return now to Eugene Snarkle, UberTube video star, and his best friend Doug.
Eugene, what happened to just buying a new set of tires at Jack Furrier's?
Way too easy, Doug.
Yes, Eugene. Jack Furrier's makes buying tires easy. So what's up with all the rubber cement and electrical tape? And why are you putting it all over your tires?
It's basic science, Doug. This Uber hack should give me another 6 months on these old treads and make me locally world famous on UberTubes.
So you'll be risking your life and your reputation.
Yes, Doug. It's all for my UberTube fans.
Well, could you at least wait a week before you try driving up Mount Lemon?
At Jack Furrier Tire and Auto Care, we make buying tires easy. Our local warehouse is filled with thousands of great options, all at one low price. If you need tires for your passenger car, truck, SUV, van, 4x4, RV, boat, or UTV, call us or go online to jackfurriers.com. Jack Furrier Tire and Auto Care. Since 1960, we're here to...
Sports.
Again, the Arizona defense did their best to go and keep the Washington Air Attack from taking over the game on Saturday, but the ground game is what did the Wildcats in as they went ahead and scored 4 rushing touchdowns on Arizona in that game where the Huskies took the win. It was a good showing for Noah Fafita, though. He showed 3 touchdown games in his first start as an Arizona Wildcat. Arizona currently opening as a big underdog to USC at the moment, but head coach Jed Fish said it would be a safe statement to make that Jaden DeLauro will be starting in that contest. Not a great finish for the Diamondbacks. They got swept in 3 games against the Astros, but they were able to go and get enough outside help. They did clinch a playoff berth for the first time since 2017. Their first opponent will be the Brewers. The NL Central winners will be going up against Brandon Fatt in the first of a best-of-3 series starting up tomorrow. That's your 2020 Sports Update. We'll have more for you here on Wildcats Radio 1290.
DK on the Sports Tip on Wildcats Radio 1290.
All right. I've got a picture up in front of Dragon Ball's face. What am I doing on this thing here? 520-848-1290. 520-848-1290 is the number to get in on the program here today. Still a lot to come up for you as well. We're going to hear from head coach Jed Fish. In the next hour, we are going to also be hearing potentially from Adia Barnes. We'll try to get you some of that from her press conference today as Adia Barnes and the U of A women's basketball team held their annual media day today out at the McHale Center. Dragon Ball was actually there with me. Dragon Ball, what were your thoughts on what you heard and saw out there today?
I mean, it's going to be an interesting season because of the shorter bench for Adia. That was always the big concern. Miss Dew being injured for the entirety of this season is a bit of a big blow to this team and what many would describe as their hopes to get back deep into the NCAA tournament. But they still got a lot of talent on this team, and who knows? Maybe there's a little bit of a situation where Adia had maybe a little too much talent on the roster last season. That's why you saw such a vast outpouring of transfers this season. But now you get the opposite of that same effect in now they have very few players. You don't have that many practice players. You don't have that many to work through in your rotation. So it'll be interesting to see how Adia changes that from this season from last year.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting. I mean, like you said, I mean, it's tough. But I think the biggest thing my biggest takeaway from that was that she seems to have figured out that you cannot over-recruit above talented freshmen, and which is something that she had done previously in the past. And that's one of the reasons that we saw an exodus of players was because of the fact that she would recruit these graduate transfers, fifth-year players and whatnot, and they would come and they'd play over these freshmen, and then the freshmen would leave. I mean, you had 4 players leave last year. You actually had 5. Michaela Gilbert decided to come back. She has decided she is going to let these talented freshmen play, and that is going to be, I think, something positive to move forward for. You got, Brea Cunningham who comes in. I thought the funniest thing she said about Brea Cunningham today was that Brea truly wants to be a 5. She said a lot of 5s want to be 4s. A lot of 4s want to be 3s or 3-4s. A lot of 3s want to be 1 and 2s. But Brea truly wants to be a 5, a post. And I think that's one of the things that's going to be a very fun to watch her play this season. Her and Jada Williams, 2 freshmen who come in here with very high accolades for the Arizona women's basketball program. All right, we are pleased to be joined now by the track director at the University of Arizona. His name is Fred Harvey. And first of all, Fred, we are, 5 weeks into this college football season, and you have not once called the postgame show this year. What is going on? I'm hosting this show now, and I have yet to hear from you.
Well, I mean, it's going to sound like an excuse, but I have it is a legitimate excuse. We had some storm damage done to our home, so
oh boy.
I'm displaced, and
oh no,
I know. Yeah, I no longer have residents right across the street from our beautiful tailgate area and where our band practice at. I'm living over on the northeast side of town now.
Wow, so I would imagine that was a result of the monsoons that came through here this summer. And I was funny because I was telling somebody over the weekend, I was like, man, we had some harsh storms this year, a little bit worse than we've normally had, and not as many storms, but when they did hit, boy, did they hit.
Oh, I mean, no question about it. And our home, sits right across from the McKell Mall, and you better be a U of A fan of something if you're going to live in this neighborhood. And because we're talking right across the street, and when that storm hit, it came one of the rare storms that come from the north, and we have these 100-year-old pine trees that are right in my neighbor's yard. The pine tree didn't come down, but all the needles ended up on our roof, and we ended up with a 3-foot swimming pool on top of a flat roof that's not designed to be a swimming pool.
Yeah, that sounds like exactly what happened at our complex to one of the condos across from us. The water had nowhere to go because the wind had knocked the drainage pipe off, and it just sat there, and eventually it went down through the condo above and down into the condo below. It was not a pretty scene for sure. That's tough.
Yeah, no, if you're if you're not being displaced and your home is being destroyed and all those things, water is a very fascinating element. It's truly amazing. It's going to find its way.
Well, Coach, we brought you on. It's the beginning of Mental Health Awareness Week this week, and we have heard so much over the course of the last few years about mental health awareness, especially in the sports community. And I know that it's something that is very close to your heart, and you want to make sure that people understand what this week is all about.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think one of the things that's super important to me, and I'm never shy at conveying these things, to my team, my staff, even though I'm a super private person. I think I've just been raised to handle things, on my own, get them figured out. But one of the things that I'm finding, the more I keep things closer to my vest, the more people I feel that I don't have issues like they have issues. And that's one of the things that I really want to, from a message standpoint of view, is, I talk to my team all the time, in terms of, we are other people. You are me. I'm you. But that stigma of I'm a leader. I'm the director of this program. Okay? So you can't be dealing with, any type of, mental health issues or, things that you need to deal with to get clarity on. You can't. You're leading the program. Well, that's the biggest misnomer that you could ever imagine, because we're human beings. We're no different than the 18, 19-year-old kid that, that's going through things. We're the same people.
Yeah, it's interesting from that standpoint. What do you find are some of the challenges as a head coach that you deal with?
Well, so like for myself, because I'm a very passionate, individual, I coach because I want to be able to see everyone reach their potential, whatever that might be. And with that being said, all the head coaches, directors, Dave Hinkie, whoever is in a leadership role, I mean, your responsibilities are at such a high level that people think that you don't, decision making, is easy. Right? Now, that being said, I have no problem making a decision. Okay? But with that, saying that, it's like there's consequences to the decisions that I make, and they don't just affect me; they affect hundreds of people. Sometimes, as long as I've been here, thousands of people. So you're constantly thinking through, how this decision that you're about to make is going to holistically affect every student athlete, and there's a lot of balance that comes to that. And my wife and I were talking the other day, and she said, "Well, what do you want to do with this? What do you want to do with that?" And I said, I don't want to make a decision right now. So what we have to know, I just, you know what? I want to sit back. I want to relax, have a cold drink. I don't want to make a decision today.
Right.
You know, because it gets a little heavy on you at times.
Fred Harvey is joining us. He is the head track coach here at the University of Arizona. What is this year? 30? Well, as a head coach, Fred, what is this year in terms of, but you've been here a long time in terms of total, but how many years is the head coach now? 31, 32, 36?
Yeah, so I'm going into year 37.
37.
Total.
Wow.
At U of A, and I was 17 years Dave Murray's assistant.
So 20 years as the head coach.
Yes, sir.
The longest standing coach, period, at the University of Arizona. We're going to have more. We got to to Fred a little bit late, so we're going to hold him over, and we're going to have much more with him coming up here in the next hour as well. We'll continue this conversation on Mental Health Awareness Week, and we'll touch on exactly a little bit as well on what this means to our community, the community that Dave and that Fred and I belong to as Black men as well in this country. This is DK on the Sports Tip, and you are listening to Wildcats Radio 1290.
And weather together. Collisions reported Old Nogales Highway and Nogales Highway, Prince Road and First Avenue, and also Broadway near Sarnoff. Stalled vehicle 22nd Street and Country Club. Busy traffic westbound Grant, westbound Speedway, both approaching I-10, northbound on 6th Avenue at I-10, and also westbound Ajo at Mission. Weather-wise, clear skies and 56 are low and about 85 now. I'm Cricket with your Wildcats Radio 1290 traffic and weather together.
This report is sponsored by Lowe's.
for the red team in the red-blue men's basketball exhibition for the University of Arizona Wildcats. KJ Lewis was the winning dunk in the dunk contest. That went over Umar Ballo to a 39. Andre Iguodala was the only one that didn't give him a 10, much to Channing Frye's disapproval. Filip Borovichinen came in with a three-point contest win over Caleb Love with a final round score of 19, and Umar Ballo led all scorers during the exhibition with 18 that night. One of the big names that Tommy Lloyd's squad will have to compete against this season is incoming USC star freshman Bronny James. James's father, LeBron, said that his son does still intend to play for the Trojans this season after suffering a cardiac arrest during a team workout in July while he was at Lakers Media Day. Bronny had undergone successful surgery as he continues to work towards playing this year. That's your 2020 Sports Update. We'll have more for you here on Wildcats Radio 1290.
Live from the CNWT.
Wait, what's the CNWT?
Central Northwest Tucson. Duh.
It's DK on the Sports Tip with your host, David Kelly.
Radio. Just when I thought I was out, they drug me back in.
Featuring J.W. Madden.
Don't tell me about flip-flops, man. I'm a native.
David Amata.
Hey, that's Dragon Ball to you.
And Cricket getting you home with traffic and weather.
Camp on Melt Lemon, not in the left lane on the freeway.
Here we go! And now, a man who has not one, but three first names, David Scott Kelly.
All right, we have chatting with the track director for the University of Arizona, Fred Harvey. We'll bring him back in. Coach Harvey in his 37th year at the University of Arizona, his 20th as the head track coach. It is Mental Health Awareness Week, and Fred has a lot of thoughts on this as it relates to athletics. And Fred, I want to first of all ask you, so is your program, are you guys as a program doing anything in particular this week to kind of make kids aware of Mental Health Awareness Week and the things that are available to them if they do have issues that they're dealing with?
Yeah, and not just our program, in track and field, but our department does an amazing job of making sure that we're available and that people are aware of the services that we have, for our student athletes, and everyone thinks because you're at a Power 5 institution, that this happens everywhere, and I've been in the sport long enough and across the country, across the world, they're here to tell you that that's not the case. I mean, I think we're at the forefront of making ourselves, available as it pertains to not just mental health, but also cultural awareness. And one of the things that is super important, for me and our department is, I have like these three pillars, that for me that have to happen with when we're dealing with positive or negative mental health situations. And one is, everyone wants to tell people what to do. Okay? And my feeling is number one thing is that you need to take a step back and listen. Okay? Just step back, listen, and talk. People want to give folks directions on things in which they have no concept of what that person is truly dealing with. And then, second is supporting, as, okay, we're listening to you, we hear you, I almost slipped and said we understand because, we don't understand. We think we might understand, but we want to make sure we're there for that. And then as we give that support is we have to do what I like to call, the okey-doke circle back. We got to circle back on you, and just because you told me, it's okay, we're good. No, we're not good. we need to have further conversation about this at some point when you're comfortable to have this conversation.
Fred, it's a different era that we're in. A lot more athletes are talking about this now maybe than they did, 20 years ago. And I think it's interesting because a lot of us in the media, we've seen athletes here in other universities who have had to take, quote, mental health breaks. And the perception sometimes that we have is, well, we didn't used to see that. Players didn't used to do that. Are these kids maybe just not as strong as the athletes of old? What do you say to that mentality?
Oh man, I'm ready. Oh, great question. So, point blank, this okay. I'm a 65-year-old black man in America, and I've been there, done that, seen it all. Okay, my problem, my personal problem in life, is not stepping back and saying, okay, I need a mental health week. Okay, I need to go and reflect on things, why I love doing what I do. And literally this year in September, we coupled it, my wife and I, with our anniversary, my 65th birthday. We had a chance to go out and see the Steelers play the 49ers at opening day.
I'm sorry about that.
I said, yeah, well, we didn't do it. Okay.
And unfortunately, you did it the next week.
Yeah. Well, because we had the opportunity to go to the Diamond League final in Eugene, Oregon. We're track and field people, but the most important aspect of that for me and my personal mental health was that people who I went to school with, one of the VPs at Nike, John Capriati, athletes who I've coached and I've crossed paths with, throughout the world, and being a part of that. Being with Joe Fabris, who started Microsoft a number of years ago, with Bill Gates, and reconnecting, with those people that can check you on what you think is right and what you may think is wrong, is that you have to take that step back and be able to listen. Now, to your question, one of the things I think we have moved into, and this is a Coach Harveyism. I'm no expert. This is one man's opinion, that we haven't allowed, in my opinion, to let people fail in a positive way. Okay? And so it's become someone else's fault. Okay? And rather than it's how do we take accountability for our own decisions that we're making. And mental health issues have been here forever. I'm a black man who grew up in, black neighborhood, multicultural neighborhood, and some of the things that transpired there is that, one, black men don't have mental health issues. If you do, you're crazy and you're in jail or you're living on the street. Well, I'm here to tell you that there's a lot deeper mental health issues that our society deal with that we choose not to talk about.
Yeah, and that is so important, because I think you hit it on the head there. In our community, in the black community, it is definitely seen as a weakness if you talk about mental health issues. And I think that's something that we as a people, black and white, need to get past. There's nothing to be ashamed about. You need to make sure that you are taking care of yourself in this life, no matter on what level that is.
Yes. And I tell my wife this story. It's 1968. My God, really a long time ago. And there's a lady that lived next door to me who had mental health issues. She was depressed, and so depressed she never got out of bed. And I told my wife, I would go by her neighbor's house, home, and she was always in bed, and to the point where she had like an infestation of roaches that really start crawling around her ceiling, and she would not get out of the bed.
Ugh.
When you start talking about and thinking about, some of the key trigger points, or signs of depression. Okay? I'm fortunate enough to have a friend that known me since the second grade, who's one of the foremost authorities in the world. He's as a psychiatrist. So when I have conversations with this person, he can call BS in a heartbeat. Right? Because we live the same thing. I can't pull that one over his eyes. And it's like, no, you need to handle this way. And in speaking, one of the the signs that there's a lot of different signs, but this bad dark area. It's almost like in my mind, you're pulling yourself, well, for lack of a better term, into the darkness. And, and it's one of those things that, people don't want to have conversations about, because if you, and especially as a leader, especially as a black leader, okay, you can't have any type of flaw. You can't, because it is not looked upon as a positive attribute to what you are. And so I think consequently, a lot of that gets swept under the rug, and you try to deal with it on your own. And I'm just here to tell you, and I'm so happy that we're here. Like, you're not going to work this thing out on your own. I'm just telling you that right now.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Hey, Coach, any final thoughts on this week, Mental Health Awareness Week, and what you want folks to get out of it?
What I want people to get out of this moment is that regardless of who you are, you're the walk-on the team, or you're the young lady trying to get a job at Target, or you're going into your master's, program, or you're a doctor, is that you need to talk, okay? Just talk. And those who you are talking to, I want people with all my heart to just listen. You don't need to give advice. Just listen and hear, and then work from there.
Fred, before we let you go, let's talk a little track and field. It was a fabulous end to the season last year with the performances of Taliban's, the shot putter whose name it just escaped me that quick. Jordan Geis. Thank you very much. I'm not even as old as you, and I can't remember half my last name sometimes, Fred. So just what is next for those two fabulous athletes?
Well, we had an opportunity this weekend at the halftime of Family Weekend, versus the Huskies, to have what I like to call a presentation of Arizona track and field. We have our 3 Pac-12 champions out there being honored during the time, and then we put on a halftime exhibition in the pole vault.
Yeah, that was crazy. I was like, I've never seen a pole vault at a football game before.
No, and James Francis, we were in a meeting. We wanted to do it down in the mall during the tailgating, but I said, hey, what do you guys think about halftime? Said, absolutely, let's get after that one. And so I said, it was a challenge, and we said, I looked at Dominic Johnson, said, you know what? They set up full stages at Super Bowl halftimes faster than what it would take to set up a pole vault pit in the runway. Okay? I said, we can do this thing. And it's not only just for, we're exploiting Arizona track and field and we're getting all this coverage. That's great. But when you think about it holistically, what it says for our department is that we are willing to take a look at and help our entire program, other than the big, the big programs of football, basketball, what have you, is that, what, we can't guarantee you're going to win a national title, but what we can guarantee you is this: you're going to have the best experience of your life coming to the University of Arizona.
Fred, we appreciate you taking some time to join us. I can't wait to hear your first call on the postgame show. Do not wait too much longer.
Well, it's coming soon, my friend.
All right. Outstanding. Fred Harvey is the track director for the University of Arizona Wildcats in his 37th season here at the U of A. Getting you home every 20 minutes on the fives with your traffic and your weather. Here is Cricket.
From the O'Reilly Chevrolet Traffic Center, this is your Wildcats Radio 1290 traffic and weather together. Country Club to the south of 5th, 6th Street at collision. Other wrecks that are reported and clearing at 1st Avenue and River Road, 22nd Street and Craycroft, Tucson and Prince Road and Tucson Boulevard. Also a closure for traffic on Prince Road east of Tucson Boulevard due to road work, and another wreck reported Ajo Way west of I-19. 56 are low with clear skies overnight and about 85 now. I'm Cricket with your Wildcats Radio 1290 traffic and weather together.
Cactus RV is open during construction off the I-10 frontage road just north of Ruthroff. Find them for great deals. New .
2020 Sports.
We're getting updates from around the University of Arizona over the weekend. It was a tough weekend for soccer and volleyball. The weekend finished for soccer getting shut out again. They scored no goals in their 2 games over the weekend in the Bay. They were shut out against Stanford. That's 3-0. And volleyball lost to the Cal Bears on Friday, and they later swept in 3 sets to the Cardinal as well on Sunday. Arizona cross-country team went out to the Dave Murray Invitational, with the men coming in second place in the 8K behind NAU. The women finished in 4th. And a lot of talk with the NBA's new rest policy. One of the stars that many are saying are the focus of that rule change is Clippers star Kawhi Leonard. The former Finals MVP said that there is no league policy is helping me play more games in an interview at today's media day for the Clippers. Again, Leonard tore his ACL in the second round against the Suns in 2021, missed the entire following season, and Leonard has not played in more than 60 games since the 2016 season. That's your 2020 Sports Update. We'll have more for you here on Wildcats Radio 1290.
It's the 5 o'clock hour, and it's time for our Arizona Insiders.
Am I late? No, my boy, you're just in time.
Each weekday, Wildcats Radio 1290 brings you all the latest news and opinions on U of A football and the Pac-12. So bear down, Tucson, and let's talk Arizona football. Our Arizona Insiders are brought to you by Coors Light, official corporate sponsors of Arizona Athletics. There's nothing like game day at Arizona.
All right, our thanks to Fred Harvey. Great conversation there on the beginning of Mental Health Awareness Week. Make sure that you are okay. Talk about it, says the coach, Fred Harvey. And there's no better Arizona insider, Arizona football insider anyway, than the head coach himself, Jedd Fisch. Let's hear more from the head coach, who once again had to deal with an offense that did not score in the first quarter for a 4th straight game. The only game this season Arizona has scored in the first quarter was NAU. What are the Cats and Jedd Fisch and Brennan Carroll going to do about that?
First quarter. So we had a 3 and out, and then they had a 6.5-minute drive. Then we had a first down play where we got a PI, and but we didn't start. We were started on the -11 because of the squib kick, and then we had a chance to throw a post to Montana, and we wound up not having the right angle on the route, not enough trajectory on the ball, or it would have been a touchdown. And then we wouldn't have had that case. And then we didn't have another play in the first quarter. So we've outscored everyone we've played in the second, third, and fourth quarter. We outscored Mississippi State 24-17 in the second, third, and fourth quarter. We outscored Washington in the second, third, and fourth quarter 24-17. So both of those situations, I think a couple of the games we had like a 15-play drive that started in the first and ended in the second. I think that was against UTEP. And then this past game, we had a 13-play drive to start the second quarter. That was a touchdown. So we only had 4 drives in the first half. We scored on 2 of them. Unfortunately, we didn't score on the first 2, which would have been in the first quarter. Defensively, we have to get off the field also, so there's more possessions. I think we were 12 minutes to 3 minutes in time of possession in the first quarter. So that all works together. We haven't had an interception this year. So those are some times that give you an extra chance at it. And we have to find a way collectively to get a stop and get a score. But 2 possessions a quarter in the first quarters of games hasn't been real good for us.
You've had a couple of games where some of your current players have faced their former teams, but this is going to be the first time that you're coaching against some of your former players and the players are. How concerned are you in any way that emotions like that will get in the way for your collective team rather than just one guy against a former team?
Yeah, coming from the NFL, you see it, you do it all the time. So I feel like personally, I'm not going to be affected by it. You're accustomed to coaching a team, losing a player to free agency. Now you're playing against that team. Coaching with a coach. Now the coach is on another staff. So personally, these are things that happen constantly on Sundays. For our players, you have three players on the other team that, I think one starting, I think that, or at least Zero started last week. And then there's other rotations of the other guys that they're going to have to be able to defend and deal with. And if that's the case, then, our corners are probably going to have great awareness of Dorian when he's in the game. I think that our offensive line has gone against Keon, so they'll be when he's in the game. And then obviously with Zero, I don't know if he's, what there are injury-wise, if 1 and 22 are back or not back. So if he's starting, then our guys will be aware of that as well. But, I think that the biggest challenge for our team is we don't need to yuck it up before the game. We don't need to have a big, family party out there. I think our job is to go there and have a business-like attitude and play good football. And I'm sure Coach Riley is telling his team the same thing. And then after the game, they can FaceTime each other because when you get in the locker room and get rolling.
You mentioned the fumble that you thought Stoops recovered in the red zone, so obviously that kind of hurt that fact. But Washington went 5 for 6. Where do you think the red zone defense needs to improve?
Yeah, well, that's clearly one of them that I thought we took the ball away there. And, that's a good offense, right? So there's no surprise that they were going to score down there. And when you give them a chance to, inside the 10 or 20, they're going to do a nice job scoring. I think that they're in the 90 percentile, right, in the red area. And they've got a lot of we forced them to run the ball. We forced them to check the ball down. That was exactly what our plan was. We held them to their lowest point total. We held the quarterback to their lowest yardage total, and we held the quarterback to no passing touchdowns. Now, you're going to have to give some to get some if you're going to do that. And if you're going to do that, you're going to have longer drives. You're going to be on the field a little bit longer. But when I look at it, when you look at, I think both teams were very good in the red zone in the game on Saturday. And I think it was there was a few, they got about 100 more yards, but I think we were both equal in first downs, equal in red zone scoring percentage. I don't know, I think we were 100% maybe. And, we got to stop them somehow, some way, hold them to some field goals like we've been doing all year. But we knew it was going to be a great challenge. We took the ball away once, had a chance to take the ball away twice. If we took it away twice, then we would have held them to 4 out of 6. Holding that team there would be great.
Jed, you guys scored on that third possession. Is it an easy decision to make to go for it on 4th and 1 when you're down 14-0? Is that easy or is that a hard decision? And just that third drive, and just to kind of follow up on Justin's question, what did you like about what was happening in that drive that maybe wasn't happening in the first?
Yeah. Well, it's never easy to go for it on the minus 34-yard line. Those don't turn out well if you don't make it, right? You're in a situation then where you can go down 21-0. But I also have great faith in our offensive line. I have great faith in our runners. I have great faith in the system, what we're trying to do. Coach Carroll felt really good about the 4th and 1 call. So that was not an easy decision, but it was the decision that I was very confident in making. When it comes down to the drives, I don't know. I thought, not much. It was, as I said, it was a 3-play drive, a 5-play drive, a 13-play drive, and an 11-play drive. Those were the 4 drives in the first half. And, we were executing nicely. We didn't have a negative play to start the drive. What happened to us in the first drive, we had a -2 in the first run, put us at 2nd and 12. And then we had an incompletion to make it third down in that situation, 3rd and 12 or 3rd and 13. Those are hard to get. I don't care if that's in the first quarter or the fourth quarter. And then the second drive, we had a 3rd and 4 that went to a 3rd and 9. 3rd and 9, we wound up having a chance to do what we wanted to do there and just missed it. But felt good about our plan going in. I think we ran 77 plays in the game. And when you could do that and only run 5 or 7 in the first quarter, it means you ran 70 in quarters 2, 3, and 4. And so I think we got a good rhythm going. Noah maybe got some pregame jitters out and our first game jitters. And if he plays this week, then he'll be a lot more experienced than he was last week.
What do you make of Dalton Johnson and how he's ascended and all the forced fumbles he's been able to get?
Yeah, Dalton has been with us since I got here. We've had him for the 3 years now, and he has really prided himself in getting better every day, every week. He's gotten a lot stronger in the weight room. He kind of has enjoyed that little the Peanut Tillman punch that we talked about in the offseason, and you could see that he's now taking pride in taking the ball away. And that's something we need to do more of. We've turned it over offensively, I think twice in 3 games, 1 fumble, 1 interception since the Mississippi State game. And unfortunately, we haven't taken it away enough. We've taken it away once in each game. So if you're going to go 2 out of 3 games for 2 takeaways, you're going to go 8 turnovers on the year on offense. That's pretty good. So we had a abomination against Mississippi State, but after that, I think we put ourselves in a position where we take great pride in the ball. Dalton has taken great pride in taking the ball from them, and had a chance at an interception against Stanford that he didn't catch, but made up for it by punching the ball out on the 5-yard line and Tyler recovering it.
All right, that is the head coach of the Arizona Wildcats. That is Jedd Fisch. We'll have more from Jedd Fisch coming up a little bit later in our show. Right now, we want to welcome in the 4th member of our team. Cricket is back with us. Now, Cricket, we were talking about Halloween the last time because you had gone to Nightfall. So are you, I want to hear about are you like big on Halloween? Are you like carving multiple pumpkins? Like what's your whole Halloween repertoire that you have going on at the Cricket House?
Well, I don't do pumpkins. I would happily do
At
them.
all?
No,
Okay.
and I don't do all that like decoration and everything. But
No?
I'm all in it for the kids, like my nieces and nephew. My nephew's he's 18 now, so of course, no costumes, probably no pumpkin
This is
carving
the
for
one
him.
you won the race with.
Yes.
Okay.
And so the girls are dressing up this year as creepy clowns.
Creepy clowns. Oh my gosh. I know people who think just regular clowns are creepy.
I agree.
Let
Yeah.
alone creepy clowns.
Just in general, yes.
They're just pretty kind of scary anyway.
I had an uncle, and he was a clown collector. I mean, he used to have all kinds of clowns. Like, I think he might have had 50 of them. 50. I mean, they don't freak me out or anything, but I've known people that just don't like them.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably pretty normal, more than people that think that they're fine or that they would
So then
collect
why don't
them.
you do a pumpkin, though?
I don't know. I'd probably rather just, a lot of times we'll be at Apple Annie's and I'll get a bunch of pumpkins for the
Okay.
kids. I don't know. Maybe I'm just old, lazy. I don't know.
Now, do you have a specific type of candy that the kids can get at your house, or is it just all across the board?
Trick-or-treaters have kind of gone down the last few years, but I always want to hand out like the good stuff, like, Reese's or Snickers, or I want to give out the good stuff, and like those 4 trick-or-treaters that come to my house and I have 2 pounds of candy. I'm like, open your bag.
That wouldn't have been good for me because I don't do I'm not a big chocolate fan.
Yeah, me neither.
So like I like the candy, like the candy suckers and lemon drops and those kind of things. So I don't know that I'd have been real happy at your house.
Oh, sorry. But you could probably trade that with your friends.
Yeah,
like,
that's
hey, I'll trade
true.
you for your gummies or your lemon drops.
Candy trading is always like that's a ground to like end friendships potentially, depending on what candy you think is worth another candy. That's an argument that's waiting to spill.
Oh my goodness! And so you do not for this. That means you're not dressed up on Halloween for the kids. You don't do that, or no?
No, and this year, isn't it on a Tuesday, too? I feel bad for the kids. I think it's a Monday or Tuesday, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken, again, Halloween being on the 31st of this year will be on a Tuesday. So you're looking at the weekend of Halloween will be the 27th through the 28th.
Okay.
Or the 27th through the 29th, I should say. Friday being the 27th. So, I mean, it's going to be a little awkward for everyone going into the office in Halloween costume on a Tuesday of all days.
Right, exactly.
And I mean, but you'll definitely know what day it is. Oh, it's a Tuesday because it's Halloween, and we got everybody dressed up as zombies in the mail room or something.
All right,
That's a good idea.
We'll have to have that conversation tomorrow. Getting you home every 20 minutes on the 5s with your traffic and your weather is Cricket.
And from the O'Reilly Chevrolet Traffic Center, it's It's Wildcats Radio 1290 traffic and weather together with reported collisions on Country Club near 5th, 6th Street, 22nd Street in Craycroft, Ajo Way west of I-19, 1st Avenue and River. Also Prince and Tucson Boulevard, a reported collision and also a closure. Prince Road east of Tucson Boulevard. It's closed for waterline work. You could use Fort Lowell instead. 57 are low with clear skies tonight and 85 now. I'm Cricket with your Wildcats Radio 1290 traffic and weather together.
This report is sponsored by ExpressPros.com.
at the women's basketball media opener for the U of A, as well as some of the players she has on this year's roster. But there's some good news about what she could potentially be getting on the horizon for the next one, as the top-ranked point guard recruit in the 2025 class, Aaliyah Chavez, revealed that her top 10 commitment choices includes the University of Arizona. The Lubbock, Texas Star also has a couple West Coast squads on that list, including USC and UCLA, as well as some incoming rivals for Arizona women's basketball in Texas Tech. And again, there's been some updates right now on Monday night. Again, we talked about Saquon Barkley. He was not going to be able to play this game. He was listed as inactive before the game with an ankle injury. And Seahawks star safety Jamal Adams, who had not been playing in football for the last 380-plus days after he had a season-ending injury last year on opening day, has officially been ruled out with a concussion. Jamal Adams will not play the remainder of this game between the Seahawks and the Giants. That is your Wildcats Radio 1290 update. We'll have more for you here on Wildcats Radio 1290.
DK on the sports tip on Wildcats Radio 1290.
All right, Dragon Ball, we never actually gave the people our question of the day today. So why don't we do that here real quickly? And the USC Trojans beat the Colorado Buffaloes over the weekend. But they had a huge lead. They had a 34-7 at one point in the ball game. It ended up being 48-41. So the question is, does USC's fourth quarter collapse, even though they did win, give you hope that U of A can get a victory this Saturday in Los Angeles? Right now, 75% saying yes, no matter who's the quarterback for U of A. 25% saying no, the Trojans are just too powerful.
The interesting thing about that game, USC versus Colorado from last week, DK, think about this. It was 21 unanswered by the Colorado offense to end that game. It was a touchdown with the last minute of the third. They scored again with about 12 minutes to go in the fourth, and then they scored again with about 2 minutes left to go there. Looking at the total yards, DK, you would think this game was about as close as that back and forth. Colorado actually outgot them. I mean, they had more yards in the end of the game of 564 to USC's 498. So Colorado gave them a very good run for their money. For all the talk about USC's offense this season, the defense looks a little suspect at this point.
Just a little. Well, it was suspect last year. They were kind of like the Wildcats. They were trying to improve that side of the ball. That's why they brought in two Arizona Wildcats and Keon Barnes on the defensive line and Christian Roland Wallace on the cornerbacks, which you heard Jed Fish talking about the interaction that they'll have with those guys coming up on Saturday. Let's hear a little bit more from your head coach, Jed Fish, who spoke today at his weekly press conference over at the stadium.
The red uniforms, how did that all come about, and what did you make of that?
Yeah, I thought it was cool. You know, the guys for a couple of years have been begging me to have a little color rush mentality. The NFL does it. You know, I know a lot of teams out there do a bunch of different jerseys. I've kind of held on to the tradition of wanting to. I like the jerseys that we wear every week and the colors of either blue or white. But the guys have been asking for a color rush for a while. We thought that if we were going to do a red out and we're going to play a top 10 team, our head of equipment, Adam, came to me and he said, "Hey, what do you think about breaking out some red jerseys for these guys for this game?" And I said, "Well, if we sell out and we beat Stanford." Those are the two criteria. I said we need to win 2 games in a row. So we beat UTEP and Stanford. We needed to be 3-1 going into the game. And we needed to make sure that we sold out the game before there was any jerseys other than the traditional blue ones that were supposed to be hanging in their lockers. But when those 2 things happened, gave the stamp of approval and Adam was ready.
2 questions. As a play caller, how do you balance wanting to be aggressive and then knowing that, like with Washington, USC, they're just explosive offenses in terms of the clock and all that?
Yeah, we made a conscious decision this past week against Washington that we said we wanted to hold the ball for over 30 minutes. We held it for like 30 minutes and 8 seconds. We said we needed to have long drives and make them go the long way. So our goal was to, never have a less than a 75-yard field. So we were touchbacked on all the kickoffs, fair caught. What we could fair catch, we did get caught on that one that they squib kicked us on. And then we had the takeaway that we had to drive 95 yards when we took it on the -5. But we substituted more than we normally do. We strung out the play clock more than we normally would. And then when we could balance out some tempo, we would. But our goal was to try to be on the field as long as we could as an offense and defensively make them go the long way. And the plan worked the way we wanted it to work. And we felt if we held them to 30 points or less, that's what we needed to get done to win the game. 31 was what we held them to. I thought that was a fantastic job, and we said we couldn't turn it over. And we turned it over once. They turned it over once, and we wanted to have less penalties. I think we had 8 for 60, and they had 12 for 125. So all of it really came down to how we wanted to play the game. And we executed on that. And sure, as the offensive play caller, if you're the offensive coordinator and not the head coach, you're always going to push the head coach to throw it deeper, go more, try to get more stats. You know, it's 38-3 against NAU. Let's try to get it to 52. It's 31-10 against UTEP. Let's try to get it to 45. And you don't take into consideration, like, let's bleed this clock out. Let's finish the game. Let's be healthy going into the next week. And that's been a learning curve for me over the last few years. And now that I don't have a checks and balances, calling it and also being the head coach. But this was really important game for us this week to execute our game plan.
Safe to say if Jaden is healthy, he starts on Saturday?
Yeah, I think that would be a safe statement to make.
Right. That is the head coach of the Arizona Wildcats. If Jaden is healthy, that's a safe statement to make that he will start on Saturday. And that is your Arizona Insider for today.
Thanks to Coors Light for bringing you today's Arizona Insiders on Wildcats Radio 1290. Coors Light, official corporate sponsors of Arizona Athletics. There's nothing like game day in Arizona.
All right, before we get out of here today, I do want to let you hear a little bit as well from the head women's basketball coach at the University of Arizona. Adia Barnes spoke today at their Media Day press conference as they are getting set for their season. They've been practicing for about a week now. Let's hear from Adia a little bit about the club that she's got coming back this season.
Kind of hand up, and I'll call on you since we have a lot of people here today. And yeah, we want to start with an opening statement from coaching, and then we'll do questions.
Welcome. I'm really excited for the season to start. I can't believe it's already here. It feels like the summer went by really fast, but our players are working really hard. I think, they asked me at the Bread and Blue game, what do I think, what will this team, like what's the word to describe the team? And I said gritty, and I think that was a really a good descriptive word because we're tough and we're working hard. There aren't any egos, and I think they really are accepting coaching, and they want to get better, so that's been fun. So I feel like we're going to be a blue-collar, gritty, and I said it wouldn't always be pretty because it's not going to be pretty at first. We have a lot of new players, but I think the grittiness and the toughness is something that's going to stand out, and you guys will see. So I'm excited for this season.
A short bench this year.
Yeah.
I mean, how are you planning for that? How are you facing the problems with depth?
Yeah, so it's funny because when I had a really long bench, I was like, never, before the season, I was like, 15 players, this will be great for practice. At the end of the year, I was like, never again. I do not want 15 players. It is like, it's a lot to manage, and there's like 10 people miserable. But now I'm like on the other end, we're never happy, right? So now I'm like, we don't have enough players, it's hard to practice. But the really devastating thing for me in the beginning, or a month ago, was Montea. Montea's gone through so much, losing her mom last year and just like coming, here in December from high school when she would have probably been a McDonald's All-American. And then like for her to get hurt, she was like the one I was like, oh man. And she looked so good, and she was going to play a lot this year, was going to have a really good role. But she's doing awesome rehabbing, and I'm optimistic about having her for 4 more years. But that does leave us with a short bench. So I think as a coach, I have to make adjustments, and practice can't be as long and intense. We really have to use practice players, which we're starting to get. The process of getting them has been a little bit here. So hopefully they're coming in this week, and just kind of manage us well because, we can't afford to have more injuries. But I've never had such a short bench, so We're a team that presses a lot and stuff. The good thing is you probably won't see a lot of transfers because everybody's going to play. So there's a lot of good things. We probably won't lose 5 people. But yeah, I think that great opportunities. If I'm Skylar, if I'm Courtney, Isis, Asali, it's great opportunities for them because we need every single player right now. So in that sense, it'll be a good thing for them.
All right, that is a little bit of a Dia Barnes press conference from this morning. We'll hear more from the head coach of the U of A women's basketball team on Tuesday, as again, they get set for, I believe this is her 7th season here at the University of Arizona, having taken this program from the depths of despair all the way to the national championship game in 2021, and now a team that is to be contended with in the Pac-12 conference, but one that is going to be a little bit younger and considered maybe to be an underdog this year, although Adia said today she feels like her team is always an underdog. That is going to wrap up our program for today. I'd like to thank all the folks that helped put this show together, J.W. Madden, Dragon Ball David Amata, Cricket, and most of all, thanks to you for listening. Tomorrow we'll have Glenn Howe. We'll break down Arizona Wildcats football and recap the game with the Washington Huskies. Finish watching the tape on that, as well as Dave Hickey will join us tomorrow for his weekly chat, get his thoughts on family weekend just passed. I am David Kelly. This is DK on the Sports Tip. You are listening to Wildcats Radio 1290. Have a great evening. We will talk to you on Tuesday.
From the O'Reilly Chevrolet Traffic Center, it's Wildcats Radio 1290 traffic and weather together. Reported collisions, Grant and Alvernon crash Midtown and slowing at that intersection. Speedway and I-10 westbound. Near Old Father, Tucson Boulevard and Prince Road, and also Prince Road is closed east of Tucson Boulevard for road work. 57 are low with clear skies and about 84 now. I'm Cricket with your Wildcats Radio 1290 traffic and weather together.
This report is sponsored by Staples Stores. There's a whole lot of savings going on now at Staples. During Staples Sit-a-thon, save up to $150 on select office and desk chairs. And when you buy a chair, you save 25% on desks, storage solutions, and office accessories. In-store only offer ends 10/28. Now is the time to save at Staples.
I know where I'll be this October.
Where's that?
There's a spot in Tucson that's bringing all the next level thrills, unbeatable winning, exciting entertainment, and fall-tastic fun.
I know the place.
Desert Diamond Casinos. I can't wait to get in on all the action.
Tell me more.
Check it out. With the Thirsty Thursday Tribute Series, you can catch awesome live shows for free at Sahuarita's Diamond Center.
See you there.
Also on Thursdays at Tucson, Rolling Up Riches is your chance to win a share of over $100,000 in prizes.
I'll roll in for that.
Then every Friday now through the end of the month, it's Football Fortunes at Sahuarita. And 3 winners every hour score up to $1,500 cash.
That's true, Tucson.
All this plus the hottest slots and table games, Arizona's premier sports book, delicious food, and great drink specials.
The good times can't be beat at Desert Diamond Casinos.
True.
An enterprise of the Thana Autumn Nation.
See Reward Center for details.
Everyone is talking about the Cats and where to find them on the radio.
Wildcat Radio, 1290 AM on your dial, just talking all day long.
Keep your radio locked to 1290 so you don't miss any of the action. We are Wildcats Radio 1290.
Desert Fury is here, and the Wildcats need you in Arizona Stadium. Double or triple your Arizona football experience by picking your plan. The Desert Fury plan doubles your games. Choose from Washington or UCLA, and then choose from Oregon State or Utah games starting at just $35. The 3-game flex plan triples your games. Choose any 3 games starting at just $46. Pick your plan by going to ArizonaWildcats.com/FB, and we'll see you at Arizona Stadium.
Oh, this cold.
Honey?
Honey?
Honey, you need DayQuil Severe Honey.
DayQuil Severe Honey gives you powerful cold and flu symptom relief with a honeylicious taste, because life doesn't stop for a cold.
Okay, I'm ready to go.
Now I'm getting a cold.
Honey.
Try DayQuil Severe Honey for powerful cold and flu relief. DayQuil Severe with honey flavor. The daytime coughing, aching, stuffy head, fever, Honeylicious, power through your day medicine. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
It's game day at Jim's house, and the spread is impressive.
Mike's already done some damage with the hot wings, and now he's dropping back and going deep for another slice of pizza.
I sure hope he brought the Pepto.
Mike knows the Pepto-Bismol provides fast 5-symptom relief from unexpected stomach upsets. He's no rookie.
The way he's throwing back those nachos, he's the GOAT.
Be ready for game day with Pepto-Bismol.
When you have nausea, heartburn, indigestion, upset stomach, diarrhea.
Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
Join David Kelly, J.W. Madden, Calvin Efon, and Glenn Howell at Soul Sports Saturday from 3 p.m. for the U of A football pregame show as we get ready for Arizona versus USC this Saturday. Sponsored by Coors Light, official corporate